We're switched. TS.
All right. Hopefully it's switched over. But hello, everyone. For those of you watching, I am Austin. You might know me as TSMRE, but I am the one that you guys have probably heard doing the video stuff. So if you haven't heard it, go watch them after this. But I would like to give a super big, warm welcome to our wonderful team who will introduce themselves directly, so I don't have to. Starting with our wonderful little programmer, Hack. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. I'm Hack, aka Cody. I am the main programmer and I guess lead developer for FM. I do the most work in Engine, but yeah, James, go ahead.
Hey, what's up? My name is James. I only go by James. I'm essentially the lead art director or environment artist. Pretty much have my hands in everything here art related. I do most of the modeling and governing over like some of the concept artists. Pretty much about it. Is Arendo?
Yeah, my name is Arendo. I also go by Cedric, and I'm the guy who basically makes all these SCP models. 3199, the one you just saw at the stream, and pretty much all the other creatures SCP related. That's all made by me. Pretty much, that's what I'm going to be making in the future.
Back to TS.
That's pretty good stuff. So what we're going to be showing off first is actually our new lobby. We've updated pretty much everything in it, so it looks pretty much how it's going to look when you actually start playing through it. For most of you, you probably understand that, or at least hopefully you understand, that our game, it's going to take place a couple years, or a year and a half, really depends, after basically the facility was entirely abandoned. So what you're going to expect in the environments is you're going to see these kind of dark, overgrown areas in a lot of the places, specifically in the aquaponics zone, if you guys know what that one is. If not, we can get into that in a little bit. But this is basically how this is going to look: dark, decrepit, full of forestation, kind of just basically run down because nobody's been, doing anything with it for a long time. But this is known as the lobby, though. So for those of you watching, just keep that in mind. We'll probably refer to it a lot.
Also keep in mind that you will have a flashlight, so don't worry about all the crazy dark spots. That's why the lobby is so dark right now. You will have a flashlight, so it kind of fits the whole thing.
Also keep in mind there might be a little bit of lag because I'm obviously streaming while in Engine, and Unreal does not like that. So just keep that in mind.
You're both streaming to us on Discord. You're streaming to the lobby, and then you have the Unreal open.
It actually looks really good on the stream.
Yeah, it does. You could actually close up the Discord stream just to help a little bit.
Oh,
yeah, we don't need to.
I was doing that. That will help some.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it wasn't dying.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah, so one of the things that we sort of promised was to show off a couple gameplay mechanics, and what we're going to be doing while James and I and maybe Zarindo are talking.
So much
It does look good. Is he's going to be working on some things in Engine, doing some of the, we call it arrow dragging that he does. He does a little bit of arrow dragging when he programs. But you guys will see him doing that. So while we start answering questions, so that should be really fun. There is a couple mechanics though that we want to actually show off, which is going to be, well, I'll just basically have Hack do it in a little bit here. But it's going to be pretty cool because I don't think you guys have actually seen these ever, except probably the patrons who have seen them in a post. So this will actually be the first time you guys will ever see live gameplay. For the most part, I'm
going to quickly answer a question here. So there's a question: is there going to be a story that underlies the game? Yes.
Oh yes, there is.
The game has a full story. There's a full-on campaign and everything. So yeah.
Patreon moment.
Yeah, no, we have a whole story. It's really cool. We actually are going to be talking. Probably, I don't know if we're going to be talking about it in this stream, but we might. There's a couple new things we're actually going to start talking about in regards to the story, and they're actually pretty big things that hopefully, we'll get to. I'm not sure if we'll do it in this stream or another one, but I guess we'll see kind of if we get going in that direction.
You definitely
hint at it. We can. Do you want to hint at it? You want to hint at it? Go ahead.
Probably not now. Probably wait until a little bit later in the stream. Just like
if you guys start asking really good questions, we'll get to it. But it should be pretty cool stuff. We're gonna have concepts of what we're vaguely referring to made in the near future. So even if you guys don't see it here, you'll still end up seeing it. So don't worry.
Keep in mind that out of every SCP game you've probably seen so far, this one's definitely gonna have the absolute most mechanics, the absolute most like SCPs in it, and like just a ton to do. Our big plan with this game is basically to just dump as much options for the players to do stuff, and just let them like kind of go wild. Basically, like very sandbox type deal, very immersive sim. Um, but also with a bit of an added twist that TS will love to hint probably in a later devlog or stream.
I do love dropping vague hints, if that's anything. Although, let's actually just go over really quick what the game as like a whole is for those of you who like actually don't know, because I'm sure there's some of you that have questions about that. But instead of me doing it, I'm gonna make James do it and put him on the spot. Let's see what he got. What do you got,
Which
James?
one?
With the, like the overview of the game. Just kinda like the brief description.
Overview as in story or just mechanics?
Both.
Both.
Yeah,
Okay,
if
well,
you need story help, I got you.
no, yeah. Just as a quick overview, once again, like Hack mentioned beginning as well as TS, this place has been abandoned for quite a while. So you have like your main objective, which is basically like go into the facility and retrieve a very specific package that is all going to be one of the main mysteries of the game. And you basically need to like break into the facility in a way, because when you start the game, you start out like literally right outside the facility, and your main like objective is dead center of the whole like monumentous facility that this is. So the whole game is basically you having to go through and complete many different objectives, do several different things, just to be able to even like get close to what your true objective is. There'll be a lot of twists and turns. We have like a ton of stuff already planned out and sort of storyboarded out. Depending on when we'll go into the details, that's a little bit hard to say because we don't want to give away too much. We will give away some things around this video or this stream, but not much. So just keep an eye out. We'll definitely try to be as transparent as possible when it comes to stuff like that. We just don't want to spoil too much. Is pretty much the game plan here. Mechanic wise, there's a lot. Player movement is definitely a big thing in this game, as well as just like the player interacting with the world. If you're gonna throw grenades all over the room, there better be things like flying around and like see like impacts and stuff like that. A lot of it's still in the work. You have to keep that in mind. We're still pretty much in like early production since we are aiming for a Kickstarter rather soon. But right now, what we're basically trying to do is like set up all of the fundamentals and as many mechanics as possible to basically show to you guys, the community, A, just that it's possible, and B, what exactly our vision is with the game as a whole. Because that's one thing we've all noticed, and we've kind of like, it's been at the center front of our ideals when making this game, is just having more to do than just walk around long like dark hallways with nothing but like a flashlight. That's kind of fun, but I mean, no one wants to play a walking sim every single time they're wanting to play an SCP game. So we kind of just figured we'd introduce some more things and kind of take it up a notch.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's actually a really good way to put it. As for some of the advanced movement mechanics, I think we're going to be showing off one of them in here. It's going to be a cool one.
Yeah, we could show off
yeah.
like climbing and stuff like that.
Yeah, we're going to show off
So
sliding.
far, we've actually been getting flooded with questions, so both of you make sure to keep look at the chat because I've been.
Wait, yeah, let me see what we got here. Let's see if we
will
got anything
TS
good.
be a playable character?
I've been trying to.
In a way, yes.
I've been trying to answer
In a
these
way,
left and
yes.
right, but
in a way, yes.
Oh, hey, Forlorn. Forlorn
What's up?
Foundry is in the chat.
Oh, what's up?
Oh, cool.
Well, yeah, it's just like a block of text. Will the main character actually talk, unlike most other SCP games? We have thrown that idea around a lot. We have thought about like going and like finding a voice actor, and if we find someone who's good, then most likely. We just don't want to like annoy the players. And having like the main player or main character just talking and like saying a bunch of random stuff that doesn't really matter can get kind of annoying in some games. But there will be a character that you pretty much interact with throughout the whole game, and having a little bit of back and forth would be nice. It's a little up in the air, so we can't really say yes or no just yet, but that's definitely something we want to look into and definitely want to try out before we completely say yes or no to it. How much earlier will the final tiers get access to the game? They'll get access to.
I said specifically, it's looking about 2 months earlier, but nothing's confirmed in as of right now.
We actually have an actual date for that, so that's exciting.
Yeah, we already have that stuff planned out.
We just don't want to publicly mention that date just yet, because we want to make sure that we have enough done and everything by that time before we kind of throw anything out there.
If Unreal decides to act a little funky on us and completely corrupt itself like it did like a couple when we were working on the tech demo, then we might have to push the whole thing back a week. So it's small bugs and random instances that could push that date back. So we're just not going to announce it just yet. Once we get really close to it, we'll definitely give you guys a proper heads up. It won't just be hey guys, things out right now. We'll give you at minimum a week or two. That way you at least
There's a specific question I would like to answer because it's a fun one, which is from Mana. What are your favorite parts of working on this project? Not looking for leaks, just I'm asking in terms of the overall experience. And what has been one of your biggest struggles while working? Personally, for me, my favorite part has actually been the level design. I do a lot of programming, but I also do a lot of lighting and level design alongside James. And it's just been an absolute blast seeing our environments, like the lobby here specifically, coming together like this. It's just amazing. But the biggest struggle, I would have to say, would be trying to find more members of the team to fit the positions we need. It's definitely difficult to do that without a really large budget. But we've done really, really good in my opinion from what we've had.
Just to give you guys a sense of what exactly we mean by that. There's pretty much 4 people in the call right now: Hack, me, TS, and Zerindo. We pretty much make up a little bit over half of the team that's here.
Yep.
So we don't have a ton of people working with us. With that said, pretty much about 90% of everything in the game is legit custom. It's all just made by us. So we're all pretty fast and we're all pretty dedicated. Me and Hack pretty much work on this game essentially full time. I know Zerendo's pretty close there. He is busy with some stuff, but he's not far off.
I'm very stressed.
Yeah.
I'm totally stressed.
As well as TS. TS is pretty much on every single day, talking to the community and doing stuff like that, doing marketing and whatnot. So we're all pretty much doing this full time, even though we're legit not even really getting paid for much, if anything. Most of the money we get from Patreon, stuff like that, is all just going straight into hiring on contractors to do concepts, paying some people who aren't able to just kind of work for free, and so on and so forth. So it is hard with our very limited budget to find new people who are willing to work with us for relatively cheap, because that's honestly all we could afford. But with the small team that we do have, I mean, it's pretty crazy what we've accomplished in such a short period of time. This lobby is probably one of the most interesting environments we've had, and we've been showing off to the Patreons and the community over and over again as we're making small adjustments to it. But it's honestly not even it's nothing compared to all the other stuff that we've been working on in the back end that we haven't shown off yet. Which we probably won't show off as much, but we do have a whole environment plan to show off this stream that is still in the works. It's still in the blockout phase, but the whole purpose of it is specifically so we can start showing off more that isn't story related. But yeah.
I'm just going to quickly interject here and answer some of the other questions because these just keep getting hit at us.
Yeah.
So
we call it Q&A stream.
Yeah. Will there be Easter eggs from different games around the facility? 100%.
Yes, 100%.
We have one game in particular that we've talked to already about doing an Easter egg. We haven't talked to anybody else, but we're definitely all for Easter eggs. Every one of us here loves them, so for sure.
Yep.
Will the save system rely on quick saves or checkpoints? To be honest, it'll probably be a mixture of the two. But we need to figure some more out about that specifically before we can release a lot of information on it. Will multiplayer have community run or operated servers like SCPSL, or will multiplayer be run by you? So multiplayer, I'm not sure if we're going to have our own official servers. We might, but I know 100% that we do plan to have player hosted, non-dedicated, and dedicated servers, just like SL.
Yep.
Will there be any item SCPs? As in ones you can use. Yes.
Yeah,
110%. I don't know how many,
Ooh.
but we'll certainly try to fit as many as we can without muddying up the game. Um,
Yep.
in terms of scale, how does the facility compare to the original containment breach?
Oof,
It's
not even
it's a
comparable.
little bit bigger, just a
I,
little bit bigger.
it's pretty fucking massive. I'll be honest.
Here, I will bring up one
Yeah,
of
can we show the
our.
concept?
Yeah, I'll bring up
Concepts.
the concept
Yeah.
of our for the entire facility. It's a
For
little
you
large.
guys, yeah, for you guys who want to see more on it, I actually did a video on it last week describing, sort of taking you through the concept. That was in our
Yep.
video last week. I think it's called Devlog 4. So if you want to go click on that after the stream, you better stick around. After the stream, definitely go check that one out. I think it's around like the 5-minute mark is when we start talking about it.
Yeah. The facility is definitely massive. Another question here while you look that up. Someone's asking, do you guys have any SCP writers working on the plot?
Nope.
Short answer, no.
Nope.
It's literally just me, TS, and Hack coming up with literally everything. We had some writers in the past, which was definitely beneficial, but because we're so early in production, having like writers to come up with like crazy ideas, honestly, just kind of like kept things off topic a lot and made things a little bit muddied. So kind of centralizing it down to me, Hack, and TS kind of solved all the issues we had and made it so much easier to like solidify specific storylines and things like that. So as of now, the story is pretty much like I'd say like 80% complete. There's still some spots we want to fill in the blank, but the start and the end are like rock solid, and all of like the major story beats are pretty much there.
Okay, so I'm gonna answer some other ones here. Will there be any SCPs that inflict debuffs, maybe like 966 or something?
Yes.
It's spot on,
Yep.
actually. We did talk
Yep.
specifically about 966 and him inflicting debuffs, so yes, there'll definitely be SCPs that do that. Anything you guys are up to share about multiplayer aspect? We will a little later on the stream. It'll be a little bit limited at the moment, but we're gonna be more. We'll talk more about it than we have in the past. Will you add cheats to the game? Most likely, there will probably be an actual, like an actual console that you'll be able to interact with and put commands in.
You probably have to beat the game first to get access to that, though. We're
Yeah.
not just gonna give it to you right off the bat.
What do you think about the general
Yep.
SCP game scene out there? Can you elaborate on that one a little bit more? That could be taken in a couple different ways.
Yeah. A little stagnant will be my short answer to that. Honestly, it's kind of a shame that Unity kind of like got shut down. That game definitely had a shit ton of potential. Besides that, there's just not much else we could say. We know a lot about the other people, like groups working on SCP games, but so much could happen between now and their full release. I know Pandemic just had their Kickstarter go through, a little, but besides that, it's kind of hard to say because realistically, there's only 2 people working on SCP games now. If you count Atheon, that brings it up to 3. But it seems that they're taking a little bit slower just because everyone on that team seems to have like their own full-time jobs and stuff. So it's a hard question to really like get into.
There was another question, which is a really, really good one. Is there a way to repair or fix the zones around the facility if you complete the main quest just as something to do? So I'm not going to go too in depth here, but I will say you're not going to have to complete the main quest. But
Yeah.
there will be that. But more on that in a later time. Let's
Just
see.
keep in mind that you are one person in a facility that's like several football fields like large.
Yeah.
So you can fix a lot, definitely. You're not gonna be able to like save the whole facility on your own. Like that's just not really a possibility. Like,
Do you?
SCP is yeah.
Go ahead.
All right, it was just
Okay.
that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Do you know or have opinions on SCP Nucleus?
No comment.
I haven't really
I
seen
haven't
enough
seen
about
anything
it.
on it. Yeah, I haven't seen anything.
Like besides the little stuff that I've seen you share in our server, and I'm pretty sure I saw you sort of share it in Atheon as well. There's just not enough information really for me to share about that right now. So yeah, basically STS said no comment just yet.
Yep.
Will SCP-343 literally be be, or literal god, be mentioned at all, or just any good SCPs to help you? 343 is the god, by the way, James. I don't think so.
Oh.
We haven't ever spoken about 343 in particular. He is very
Yeah.
overpowered. We can definitely have references to him because we'll have a lot of references to SCPs without them directly being in the game. But I'm not entirely sure at the moment. Will the Chaos Insurgency make an appearance in the game? I don't know.
That's a good question.
Our main goal for FM is to bring a lot of new things to SCP, a lot of new SCPs, new environments, new mechanics, just everything we can to bring the SCP out of the kind of like creative block that's been in for so long.
Yeah.
So with Chaos Insurgency has been very prominent in almost every SCP game that I've noted. So probably not. We might hint at them, but we're definitely we're definitely wanting to bring other groups of interest in besides the CI. Will there be different difficulty options? Yes, 100%.
Yep.
Which will kind of change up how you play just a little bit. We were just talking about something the other day that would be affected by that, but
if you want hack, you can start just going through like the different images. That way, they're not just looking at one screen in the background.
Yeah, I'm not sure what images to go through just yet. I have a whole.
Yeah, we can't share.
We
too
could talk about the
much.
player model if they want to hear, but I've seen like 3 questions of the player model.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Anyone that stands out in particular?
Will they have a name? Yes, it'd be Bob or
Yeah.
whatever. It's whatever you want to name him. You can have whatever name you'd like.
Yeah, I don't think
Bruce.
the main character's name is like the key factor. In a lot of ways, it's if you know what like an immersive sim is, the idea behind an immersive sim is like you kind of play as a character who isn't necessarily like a super overpowered like individual. They're not really like a god or like a king or anything of the sort. They're kind of just like someone who stumbles into a rough situation and kind of like progress over time and become like someone who could essentially like topple over like kingdoms essentially. Not in like the like super overpowered kind of way, but in the influence type of way.
So I'm gonna answer a really, really good one, which I'm also gonna have some screenshots to follow up with. Would there possibly be non-SCP anomalies in the game? Not anomalies per se, but there will be other non-SCP related enemies in the game. One of the first things that we actually just got done were some drone concepts. What you're seeing right now is just a blockout, so keep that in mind. But we do plan to have drones around the facility, a bit of a wider variety of them, from flying security drones to like floor drones that are just kind of meant to clean up. James, you can pick this up. This was your thing.
Yeah. You can show off the concept for those drones as well, so they have a better idea. Like Heck said, this is just a blockout, just so we can start testing like flying AI and whatnot. Keep in mind that there will be one of the things is like fighting against SCPs is super cool and all, but we don't want to just limit it to fighting like every like monster out in the sea. So having like drones like that can be like pretty much the facility's security guards. That would be nice, as well as other entities they can get into at a later date. For drones, there will be a couple different mechanics that we tie into them. That Hack brought up like yesterday that we could probably tease. Being able to like use them as like points of interest or whatever. But there will be more than just flying drones or like just like drones on the floor. We do have we have plans for a couple other more interesting drones and robots of some form that we can get into at a later date. But by default, most of these drones probably won't be hostile to the player. It'll be one of those situations where like if you start going around like in zones where you're not supposed to be, like you don't have the you don't have the authority to be in, like these drones will basically be there to like keep you off guard. So if you want to avoid these or getting into fights with these guys, just avoid areas where you don't have the right access to, I should say. It should be, yeah, that's pretty much most we could say for now.
Did you mention the little little thing about them?
Which one?
They'll shoot you.
Huh?
They just shoot you?
These ones, well, yeah, these drones have like a scanner, so they're like scan the environment. But they also do have like little guns on them. They're basically just like more like pistol rounds. They're nothing like massive. There will be like some more security drones that are like very like blocky, like something you'd see like at an airport. they probably right now we're talking about having them like shoot like sandbags at you essentially, because they're mostly just meant to like keep the peace in a facility like this. Yeah. But there will be others that are like very military drones or robots, I should say. But that's neither here nor there.
Another question I'm going to ask, because this has been asked very frequently. Has 096 or 049 been taken into consideration being potentially added into Fragmented Mines? So 096 will 100% not be in the story. We've talked a little bit about multiplayer, but it's like super far off into the future about that being confirmed or not. 049 specifically, again, like we've discussed it being in there, but we do not see anywhere for it to actually play in single player, and especially not multiplayer. So don't expect 049 to be in the game. Again, 096 like unconfirmed for a while. It'll be a long while.
There's a good question about traps. Perfect question.
Will there be traps you can set up to catch enemies off guard, i.e. electricity traps you can place to stun enemies, drones, anything else? We actually will. We already have a trap set up right now. Patrons have seen it. I don't think we've shown it off to the public yet. So I will probably be showing that off later once I get into Engine and start to work on things. Let's see. Do you plan on adding single-player game modes other than the story? It's never been talked about, but there is one particular thing that you'll find out when we drop our Kickstarter that would change up single player a lot. Let's see. Will you please actually save the more logical part of placing various SCPs in one zone and not just shove it all into their like contemporary?
Oh yeah.
So every SCP that we talk about adding, we go through, figure out what kind of gameplay it could offer, and then place it around in our different zones based on its properties, its weaknesses, and where realistically it would fit within our facility. We don't just kind of sprinkle them around and hope that it works.
Yeah, and if a zone is like kind of bare on SCP types, then rather than just looking for the next SCP to like throw in there, we will basically like sit down, go over like the list of SCPs, see which ones are interesting. If none of them fit, then we'll basically go in and like think, okay, well, we have security drones, we have another enemy type that we haven't gone into yet. Is there any way we can like tie these guys into there instead? And then we go through that whole like mindset of things. Just shoving SCPs everywhere, it's not the worst thing. It's just like might as well put in a like extra bit of like time into to like figure out properly, just to make the game better overall.
So I'm going to answer another question here. Why do you think there are so few SCP games? That is actually a really easy one to answer. Creative Commons is the biggest killer here. Large studios will not touch it because they can't own it. We'll never have Control. Will be the closest we get to a large studio even getting near SCP, and obviously that was inspired. But besides that, making an entire game is very, very difficult.
True.
So it's just a very difficult thing. It's very difficult to put together a proper team. I think the main killer would definitely be Creative Commons.
Yeah. Another thing to keep in mind is SCP as a whole still kind of like sits down in that sort of sphere of the internet where it's kind of like it's not quite gone mainstream. Like it has in a couple small instances, but it's never like really like fully blown up. So there's still not like a huge amount of eyes on it. And even if there were, so the points that Hack brought up, it will definitely kind of hold it back. A big studio can't really pick it up because they can't own the IP or really do much. They can definitely like sell it a one-off, but it's going to end up being like a one-off product that after it's produced, then people can just kind of go in, rip all the assets, and then use it wherever they want, which big companies will never really allow that to happen. And for small studios, it's hard enough as is for any developer to like create and publish a game. Adding that on top of a genre or a community of games that has already had quite the history of like failed projects and whatnot, it's a little just not very all that motivating.
So I have two questions I'm going to answer here. I asked this earlier, but I'm unsure if it was answered. BioShock, the first game, had early on the possibility of manipulating pressure, atmosphere, and temperature. You ever plan on adding anything like it? I don't think it's going to be anything like that, specifically like that, but we're definitely going to have puzzles around the environments that will kind of mess with the environments as you play through. So another one is, what will the transitions from zone to zone be like? Will the player have to pass through an airlock or something similar, or just a simple checkpoint? We're actually going to have,
Trains.
we're going to have an entire tram system that will take you from section to section. So that'll be very neat. If I had to compare it to anything, I would compare it to Alien Isolation and how you travel from tram to
Yeah.
tram.
Yeah.
Will there be different key cards that can be upgraded or found? So we're not going with the traditional key card system that you see in other SCP games. I'm not going to go too far into it right now, but don't expect key cards basically.
Yeah. Well, pretty much everyone in the facility, like if you work at like a regular, well, not like more advanced like office space, most workers have like an iPad around them that they log in and has like all of their authentication stuff in, and you could use that to like unlock doors and whatnot to go to certain areas. We're pretty much going to be copying that sort of like idea and just taking up a notch. And later on, when we show off like the player's wrist device and stuff like that, that's pretty much what you'll mainly use. There will be some instances where you like pick up someone's like ID card, and you do need like an ID card again to like a medical room or something like that. Then in instances like that, you use that, but nothing quite like the key cards from like SL.
So I have two more questions here that I'm going to answer. First is, what was the initial spark that led to you all creating this game? This is going to sound
Oof.
really, I don't know, take it as you will, but it was actually Secret Lab. My initial inspiration was Secret Lab. I really wanted to make an SCP game after seeing theirs, and make it the way I wanted it, and that just kind of took off and led to where we are today. But another one is, with all guns, will all guns have that futuristic style, or can we expect to see some more modern firearms shown at the very least? So all of our guns, none of them will really resemble what I would consider your classic like modern weapons in design. All of our weapons, our goal is again to bring something new to with FM. So we're trying to change up our designs and make them feel as unique to FM as possible.
You can cycle through like the flamethrower and the railgun to show that
You
idea.
can show them the actual pistol.
So, Sun
Oh yeah, the actual pistol.
Will the wrist device be like Resident Evil 2? I personally haven't played 2, but I have played 7, and they have kind of like a little wrist device on the left hand. You can see your health bar on. It'll be somewhat similar to that, but more advanced. There'll be more stuff on it that you'll be interacting with. Sean, it'll be more like the Pit Boy, honestly.
Yeah, honestly.
Show them the pistol. Show them the pistol.
Everyone has seen it or should have, but
No, I mean like in the lobby.
Just to talk over.
In the lobby.
Yeah, in the lobby.
I mean, yeah, you could do that. To go back on the gun question, it'll probably resemble more like Titanfall 2-esque weapons, or just Titanfall in general. They have like the mixture of like, yeah, it looks, you can see the inkling of like a realistic weapon, like underneath the slight like sci-fi geometry on top. Most of our weapons we're trying to keep like as like realistic as possible, trying not to do anything like crazy like laser weapons or anything like that. But we will have some toys that are like a bit more secretive in the game that the player will be able to go in and just mess around with and do whatever they want. Hack right now is currently messing around with the pistol. This is currently going to be like the main sidearm that the player has with them from the beginning of the game. This thing is actually modular, so you'll be able to have like a completely different barrel sizes, different ammo types, different grip, different sights. The little screen on the back could even be changed for like a couple other things. We'll probably show that off a little bit later in production. For right now, we kind of just have this based in a couple different texture variants, some of which we've already shown off. But yeah, it's for the most part, it's a pretty standardized revolver with just like heavy rounds. So it's nothing like crazy sci-fi. But would we rather do this or add in something like a Desert Eagle? I'd say probably this. Desert Eagles are cool. They look cool. They sound good, whatnot. But running around in a high-tech facility on Mars with the Desert Eagle doesn't quite make the biggest sense. Would be cool, and we could definitely add that in as like a secret weapon. But as the base, like at the bare minimum, like the base of the whole game, yeah, every weapon is definitely gonna have a good style to it. Same with the melee weapons, pretty much.
Yeah, all of you who I see this question a lot. Did they ask like how much has the game improved since the first demo?
Oof.
Feast your eyes.
I mean,
Feast your eyes.
if anyone wants to go
Been a
back
huge
and look at that stuff, you're more than welcome. But
It's been a very large improvement.
yeah, so much has changed. Like so much. Just the overall style, the main like story beats, like pretty much everything has changed to a degree. A lot of it has carried over in a lot of ways. A lot of mechanics have too. But everything has been improved tremendously. Once again, we're still in early production, so some things aren't like quite in yet or are still a little rough. But there is a lot already in the game, and whatever is in the game right now is so much better than what was in the tech demo.
So I'm gonna quickly. I've seen this question pop up a couple times, but we just haven't gotten to it. Will SCP-610 have different forms that can adapt to most areas of becoming flying, crawling, or even swimming forms? So,
Yes.
them actually changing is undetermined right now. It's something we definitely want to have, but we want to make sure we can stay within scope. However, 610 itself will definitely have multiple different entities, and not just like one that comes at you. So,
Yeah. There's a reason why we have a whole zone pretty much dedicated to 610. There's a lot that you can do with him, and I'm surprised no one has really like fed into that. But there will be a couple other twists we do with 610 besides just different zombie forms essentially. So
It should be really
just keep
cool.
an eye out for it.
There is one thing I want to mention though, because I think we are going to show off a little bit of like actual straight up gameplay in a little bit here. The animations and stuff are one place that we're going to improve on a little bit later once we start getting a couple of different things for that. So what you will likely end up seeing is still work in progress. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
We are actually in the process of getting our hands on a mocap suit. So
Yep.
we'll be mocapping animations, but for now we obviously have to have some placeholder ones. So
Luckily,
we will not
our
need
animator's good.
you will not need a 3090 to run FM.
Oh yeah,
3090
no.
minimum.
I
That's
mean,
the minimum requirements, I guess.
right now, Hack is literally running off a laptop, showing you guys this.
Yes.
So I think you guys will be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
You definitely can't run this on like a $500 build of a PC, but something a bit more like a standard PC, you should be fine.
So
Like
there's
standard specs and whatnot.
There's two really good questions. If you have to choose to focus on either the horror or chaos aspects of the game, what would you choose and why? So we are doing if we really had to pin it down, I would say our gameplay style right now is more like Dying Light. How during the day it is a lot more scavenging, surviving aspects, but during the night and Dying Light, things became very horrific very quickly. So that's definitely what we're attempting to go for here with some of our environments, where at like some of the time it'll just be scavenging, surviving, while the other basically half will be really horrific. I would say that research and development, where 610 that will definitely be a lot more Dead Space, like Alien Isolation, like really big horror there.
If you want to like pin it down to like what the game will feel like, like I said, definitely like Dying Light, definitely a lot like Prey, a lot like Alien Isolation, and like Dead Space. It'll be like a mixture of a lot of them in both atmosphere, gameplay, and like whatnot. But there will be some aspects that kind of just like feel completely different that you probably haven't seen in any of those games as well. Just keep in mind that it's like if you're walking in one zone and it's just going to be like a bunch of scavenging and like a couple of enemies go at you, it's not going to feel all that scary. But just wait like 5 or 10 minutes later, you're going to fall through a vent or like something crazy is going to happen, and then you're going to want to like shit yourself essentially.
So the other question that I mentioned was, will there be corpses around as like dead people that were there, and will there be dead like D-class cells? D-class cells. So yes, there will be corpses, and yes, we will have D-class holding cells. But more on that at a different time.
Yep.
Yeah, that'll be something to look forward to, especially for those of you who like concept art.
So,
you'll love one thing we'll have coming up here.
Yeah, so another thing people are asking a bit more about physics. So in Fractured, which was our technical demo everybody played a while ago, everything was physics-based. You could pick it all up, you could throw it and whatnot, but that caused a lot of problems. You could throw things to the maps, you could prop surf. There was a lot of problems that come with introducing physics like that. So we are going for more of a Prey style, where you pick something up and it just kind of floats in front of you and you can throw it. You can't swing it around and everything like you could in Fractured. That would just break way too much if we did do it that way, unfortunately.
Okay, so there's a great question I just saw. So it's, will this be a chase and fighting game, or is a hiding mechanic likely to be present in the full game?
So I
So-
will pick that up.
Ooh,
So
okay, okay.
we do actually want to experiment with hiding in and under things, but we do not want to become Alien Isolation in that regard. Alien
Yeah.
Isolation was almost entirely you hiding in lockers for ages, waiting for you to get the right moment to be able to go through. We don't want that. That is not a good way of handling that. So we want to find the perfect balance between the player being able to fight and hide. Like, we don't want you running through the facility feeling like you're the Doom guy, just absolutely obliterating at everything. But we don't want you running and hiding all the time, like you're completely weak when you have weapons at your side.
Keep in mind, we won't always reward you for fighting. Like that's a thing. We don't want to reward you at all for fighting. There, in some instances, yes, but it's like this is still a horror game. We don't want you to feel like a super overpowered like space marine or whatnot. That's not really this type of game. Hiding is a big thing, as well as mobility. So like running away from enemies is a big thing. But we will give the player the option to fight back. It's just ammo's limited, like healing supplies are limited, and like pretty much all of your resources are limited. So if you want to take the risk, then you're more than welcome to. But it's one of those things where you have to be careful. Otherwise, you're going to use up too many resources, and the reward for that interaction might not be entirely worth it. So it's one thing where like you might want to avoid certain enemies for the good half, like first half of the game, and only start like really like fighting back like around the second half when like you're a bit more used to player movement and like their pathing, as well as just like the way they'll like fight and like do different things.
I'm gonna answer another question real quick because I've seen it pop up a couple times. Apologies for not answering, but say you've got a really deadly SCP after you, would there be moments where you'd hear it coming from a mile away? You'll never really hear an SCP coming away from super far away, but there will definitely be good audio cues that will inform you that there is an enemy close by. Between noises that they make and footsteps, it'll be rather obvious. We're gonna have a lot of SCPs in the game, so it's gonna be a little difficult to get every footstep to sound different, like noticeably different. But we are definitely going to try our best.
Yeah.
These are really good questions. Question about a skill tree, like Prey.
Yes.
Um,
There you go. Well, there you go.
There you
What
go.
was it?
That's your answer.
Yes.
If
Skill
you have any
tree?
skill tree,
Yeah.
like
Yes.
Prey.
um,
Not crazy though. Like the one in
Yeah,
Cyberpunk was insane. Not
Yeah,
like
no,
that.
it's you're not gonna be able to like upgrade your skills to the point where like you're running across the map at like Mach 10. It's not gonna be anything like crazy like that. It'll mostly just help with like it'll a lot of like quality of life things. It'll make a lot of things easier, but not absurdly easy. So let's say like we're not going to give players like a scavenging skill where once they like upgrade to max, they'll be able to find like unlimited ammo. Like we're not going to do that because like we want the game to still feel like a horror game from start to finish. And all the point of the skill tree is just to make certain encounters easier and unlock more doors for you, not necessarily uh like open the doors automatically for you. Just make it so you have new tools to open up doors. That kind of, if that analogy makes sense.
So I have some other really good ones I want to answer here. So is the hunt game mode like a number one target type of game mode where the MTF prioritizes that target, somewhat like Evolve, or a horde type of game mode like Left 4 Dead? If I had to choose between those two games, I would probably say it would become more like Evolve, but not quite like Evolve because they died out. But I digress. Would the hunt mode be more like a PvP shooter, or will it be more like Dead by Daylight? That is a bit more of a difficult one for me to for me to choose between. Thankfully, I don't have to
Yeah.
answer your question because I know you.
We
Will
get
the
a multiplayer stuff a bit later.
will the different anomalies attack each other when they meet? We do have plans for SCPs to actually interact between each other, because obviously in real life they really would. The extent of that is still to be determined, because that will require a lot of work between all the different SCPs. So more on that at a later point. Just know that we are looking into it and really want to do that.
Yeah, the drones will definitely fight back. That's definitely planned out. Everything else like SCP versus SCP that requires a bit of scripting on like their AI. But besides that, yeah, we'll definitely try.
We are not really going to answer any questions on 173 at this moment. There needs to be some meetings around him and rediscussing him. He's 173 was the earliest thing that we planned, and is now the most outdated in my opinion. So, yeah, we'll have to go through that.
Yeah, he won't be all
I
that
haven't seen more questions about him.
big in the
That's
game.
funny.
I'll be honest.
For those of you though, I've seen this question come up a lot about him. Actually, he's not the main character. He'll actually play a very minor role, so keep that in mind.
173. Will famous
So,
SCP
yeah,
icons
very, very minor.
Will famous SCP icons like SCP Illustrated and SCP Tales from the Foundation have some voice acting in the game? Illustrated definitely will. We are working with him still from Fractured, so we definitely will be having him do some voice acting. He won't be the main character, kind of like how he kind of was in Fractured. He was, I guess you'd consider main character. But we plan on having audio logs that players can find throughout the game. That'll basically tell stories of researchers and other personnel from Site 113 before and during and after everything went down, which will kind of spin their own stories in the background if you follow them. So that's primarily where you hear that where you will hear them from.
Yep.
There will be a ton of lore. Speaking of lore, actually, if you guys haven't seen on our website, because this isn't going to release until tomorrow, but it is on our website. If you go there right now, there will be a tab on the top called Creature Log. That will show you right now what all we have modeled and what we're going to be putting in. It's not actually a finished list yet, because the list is actually pretty big. But as we sort of like kind of filter stuff down and be put on there, so I highly recommend checking it out, because you'll be seeing it in tomorrow's video anyway. So you can just get a sneak peek at it.
I say we'll take a small break from questions because we answered a good bit, and let's just start showing some stuff off, and we can come back to more questions right after. That way, we're not just stuck here looking at the same thing for too long. We can actually start showing off gameplay and other things.
Right now, what I'm doing is just showing off, like getting the weapons lined up and just showing those off off an engine.
Yeah, we also probably show like the current Blockout, like the Fabricator later if we're wanting.
Yeah, we will. I'll be showing that off here soon. So
yeah.
Once I start to show off gameplay, I'm actually going to be moving into another environment. It is a Blockout environment, so it is just basic shapes. So just keep that in mind. But it is something that is coming that you can look forward to.
Yeah. It's something. We're pretty much currently calling it the dev environment. Which most games, the dev environment is just like a dark room with like every item in the game. For us, we're setting up the dev environment to be more of a vertical slice of the game, because once we get around to actually letting people play test the game, that's essentially where we want them to go in and like go crazy. Because if we're going to give players access to like every weapon and like every mechanic we have, might as well give them an environment where they can take advantage of every single one of those. More on that in a second, though. Yeah, I guess just showing these off. Once again, we did mention it before. Melee weapons is going to be a big thing in the game because ammo is so scarce. You will be relying on melee weapons a bit more than just firearms. But a lot of SCPs are very close quarters, so you don't always want to get too close. It's one of those like give and take situations.
Denmark's, I know, showing off the folder structure. I'm actually perfectly fine with that. Everything that I've been showing off in the weapons folder, besides the sticky grenades, which, fun fact, they're actually kind of a joke thing, so don't take those seriously.
Yeah.
All of those have been shown off, so it's not a big deal.
We're not going to leak anything right now.
Yeah, I'm being cautious about that. But are there consumables and resources? Yes, there are.
Yep.
Like I said, our gameplay is a lot like Prey, so you can expect a lot of stuff like that. Also,
Yep.
I love like this view of the Machete here, tier 2.
Yeah, the upgraded one. Yeah. Did
That's
you
a
ever
flaming
show off the
machete,
ones
by
with
the
the
way.
flames? By the way,
Yeah, I turned the flames off. So,
okay, you should. You could turn them on and show them if you want. I think they'd like that.
No, that's kind of
I know.
placeholder for now.
I mean, fair enough. I mean I'm sure everyone knows that there's just a placeholder. It should be fine.
If
it's
I
fine.
had to choose my favorite weapon, though, it would definitely be the 2 axles. They're beautiful.
Yeah. Once again,
We're calling them
these,
axles now.
Yes,
gear
'cause
shafts,
you've been
axles,
doing it
whichever
in the
works.
blogs.
True.
Fun fact that those actually weren't axles. When I wrote the first blog, I just wrote that in there because I thought it was an axle.
Yes,
And now it is.
Fine.
Yes, it's a
Now it is an axle.
It's a flaming sword.
Funny.
Just the VFX is off on it right now because it's placeholder.
Yeah. Hack doesn't like
If chat wants, if chat wants it, let us see it. Let
my
us
God.
see you guys want to see it.
Just
Let's
show
see
it.
it.
And,
Just say show it. Yeah, I will do it.
We'll basically bully Hack into showing it off.
Oh my
How about
God.
that?
Yeah, just spam that if you actually want it. If you don't, then it's too bad.
Once again, like all these weapons are upgradable. You will find like the base versions of these and then be able to show off like the up or you'll pick up like crafting material.
No, people,
and we'll
please.
say,
Oh, yeah, yep. Keep going.
It's
Yeah,
just,
like what,
I'm sorry, man.
6,
You gotta show
7,
it, man.
people.
it's just
It does-
placeholder.
I know, but
It doesn't
still
matter.
looks
They want to
good.
see it.
Yeah, as a
Chat
placeholder,
wants
it
it.
still looks good.
This is how you bully streamers, by the way. If you're watching any big streamers, just get chat on
You
your
can see
side.
the,
and
the
we'll
glow
do
on
what
it
you
too.
want.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it actually doesn't look bad for a placeholder though.
Yeah, it doesn't. That's literally gonna
Yeah.
be so awesome to use in game. Just by the way,
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna show the melee animations right now because they're a little bit scuffed. But we're gonna get some new ones. Probably some point next month when we get the mocap
They're
suit
not
in.
bad, yeah, but we definitely need to fix them up to match
Yeah.
every weapon type.
They need to be adjusted for sure. But yeah,
Yeah,
next month we're getting the mocap suit in, so we should have some updates for you guys on that, and it should be really good.
By the way,
Unless
the
it
machete
sucks,
won't be
but it
the
should be
only
really good.
sword in the game.
No, it's gonna be cool.
It also won't be the only weapon that has kind of effects like these. If you actually take a look at the actual, you can see there's a bunch of batteries and copper wire strapped around it. That is because it is going to have a electrical effect to it, a shock effect,
Yep.
which will actually be toggleable via the switch here.
Yep.
Trigger.
Yeah, did you already set up the sword so that's toggleable?
No. I
Can I turn it off?
no, it currently only turns on when you first equip it.
Yeah, because that was something we talked about having, so you can turn it on and off the flames.
Yep.
Which once again, like a bunch of weapons are gonna have like cool little things to it that we can get into gaming. We'll get into at a later date. These aren't the only melee weapons, like not even close. We're planning on adding a ton.
Hello, gaming.
We're also what's up, gaming? We're also planning on adding a bunch of different like firearm upgrades to your pistol, as well as a couple other things. Hey, what's up, gaming?
Stream.
Don't mind him. Don't mind him.
Anyways. What was I gonna say? Besides the melee weapons, though, there will be other tools at your disposal that aren't just like firearms or melee weapons. There will be a lot of like tools and stuff like that. We can get into that probably here soon because we do have some of them already set up, and Hack will be working on one of them as we go over like the last bit of the stream. But there's a lot going on. Wrenches, yeah, there'll be wrenches. They kind of just be like standard melee weapons though. They'll have like upgrades, but yeah, there's gonna be crazy melee weapons. There'll be like we have a tiered system, so things like wrenches, like small hammers, utility axe, the machete, like that stuff's all like pretty standard stuff. Then there's tier 2, which is like the flaming effect and like the upgraded like the axe here has like a it has like an attachment to it to make it kind of pack a bigger punch.
There's a couple equipment we actually don't have here. One of them is a flame grenade, which is awesome. Just straight up.
Oh yeah. We do
Awesome.
have like incendiary grenade. We do have landmines that are like you can like put them on walls and stuff like that, and they'll stick to it, and then they're basically traps. We have glow sticks they can throw to keep you like lit up because battery power is actually a big part of the game. You will run out of battery. Like your suit has a designated amount of energy, and if you run out of power, your flashlight is basically dead, and then you need to rely on the glow sticks and other light sources around the facility. There will also be there's a couple other things we have planned that we'll probably leave for now. But yes, ooh, it looks really good.
It does look really good.
Yeah.
Is that an SCP game with actual SCPs? Whoa.
Wow, what a surprise.
Yeah,
Wow.
These models, they look so good.
I hate it.
You.
The guy who made it must be talented. Jesus
Look at
Christ.
the
Oh,
7.3
talent.
EU.
Damn, oh, what is that?
What happened?
Ew.
Yeah.
Looks like the
Well,
materials
7.3
What
are
happened now?
materials.
I
Yeah.
love seeing all the people who are like,
well-
"Oh my god, I hate fragmented mines as 173," and I'm
Yeah,
just
well-
like, "Why would you say that about it? Why would you say that?"
One's
But no, he's not the main
kind
enemy in the
of,
game.
at this
so don't worry
point,
about it.
yeah.
And don't worry about it. He's not the main enemy.
Yeah, no. He's gonna be in the game like much later on, and he's mostly just gonna be like an enemy type. He's not gonna be like a big thing. Oof, yeah.
Yeah,
Besides
Final
that,
Answer
though,
Phrase
besides that,
173.
yeah. Besides all that, we actually have a couple other SCPs that aren't. Oh yeah, there's a 104 or
104,
140.
nice.
Sorry,
148, there
140.
they go.
Is it
148.
140?
There we
Yeah.
go.
149.
3 guesses as to
149.
where the design for this one was based on. 3
Can
guesses.
can I answer?
No,
Go for it.
No.
fine.
Oh,
Oh.
I can tell I'm not loved or wanted.
No, JB,
What?
chill out. What was I gonna say? Blah, 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 blah. Besides these SCPs,
Are you prioritizing adding SCPs not seen in game so far? Yeah. So
Yes.
we have a lineup here, and obviously some of these are a bit more known, but we are definitely wanting to add lesser known ones in here.
By the way, 149 won't be that big. It'll be a little bit smaller.
It's about bloodfly size, but no, it'll be
Yeah.
Ooh, oh, dang. Ooh.
probably a bit more.
Actually
than
looks really good. Also.
Probably a little bit bigger.
A little bit bigger, yeah.
Somewhere around
Well,
there.
yeah, that's pretty good.
It's
actually.
close. It's close.
Yeah.
That's good.
Probably like at 0.2. But yeah.
Okay. Oh my god, he looks so dirty.
Yeah.
I love him anyway.
We already Zorinda right now is currently working on a couple of others, and
Yeah.
we have the help of Aerospice, who's he's kind of just helping us out on the side. Who will be also helping out with a couple of other SCPs we'll probably get into at a later date. As well as the player model, which we'll show off here in a little bit.
Should we show off the work in progress of it? Because those renders were really good. You already
I say
showed
show
us
it off.
All right. Well, we'll show off what the
Yeah.
player model looks like currently. It looks absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. Currently in game, in the build that Hack is messing around with stuff, we have like some old placeholder arms that we had made a while back. Those are gonna get swapped out for the new player model that's currently being worked on. A bit still needs to go into it, like textures and whatnot. But it's pretty much there. Yeah, so this is what the current player model is looking like.
Untextured, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
There's a great meme that I'll probably end up showing everyone about it that the Irish Spice made about it. It was great. You guys will love it.
What was I gonna say? Keep in mind that this is just the base suits, or the under armor, as we keep calling it, undersuit. One of the big things about the game is, besides being able to upgrade your weapons, you'll also be able to find like armor and other sort of like protection for the player. And you will be able to basically like put that up on top of the player armor or the undersuit here. So you'll have like chest plates, shoulder pads, knee pads, and then like different not really gauntlets, but like protective guards on your arms, as well as backpacks. Not necessarily backpacks, but like something on your back that'll either give you like extra oxygen or extra storage or like this, that, and a third. That's all like stuff we can get into at a later dates. But it is we do want to give the players a lot when it comes to customizing their character, as well as just like picking how they want to progress through the game. So some things such as like you might find like an armor set that's a bit beefier, and obviously it'll give you like more protection, this and the third, but it also makes it so your sneaking isn't as great. So a lot of things in the game, the main rule set is everything has its pros and cons, everything has its benefits, but you also have to sacrifice certain things in order to gain others.
Oh my god, Atheon. Oh
So-
god.
They already figured out the meme with that. I don't even have to show it. They got it.
Oh, no.
It's
Oh,
the
no.
specific one. It's the specific
They got
one that, my friend specifically did. Jesus. Yeah. But in any case, let's see. How was the main character survive for so long? This is a really good question, actually. After all, was the facility abandoned for at least a year? Why focus on this specific part of the character's
More
timeline
than a
while on
year, yeah.
Mars? So that's like I said, really good question. So the player actually arrived to the facility, and our Pelican, which I'm gonna go ahead and show off the concept here soon in a moment. And they arrived via cryopods, so they were in cryostasis for a very long time. And when they arrived, everything was kind of like going haywire at this moment, so no one was there to basically quote unquote wake the player up. So they were in the cryopods for this entire portion of the time until power started to fail, and it forced them out. Think Fallout 4, realistically.
Pretty
Like
much,
that,
yeah.
that's pretty much what it's close to.
Not far off, yeah.
Also, here's a new concept we had made for our Pelican, by the way. We had another one we've shown like ages ago, but we went ahead and had it kind of remade. So yeah.
We also have the inside of the Pelican you can probably show off.
Yes, we do. I'll just actually go open the Google Drive. Everything that's been.
This
shown
is
off.
in the video tomorrow for you guys who want to watch it again.
Yeah.
It's me going over it though. So yeah.
Showing off a bit, just jumping into the actual build. Yeah, heck.
It's Fragmented.
Okay, fair enough. We can actually, I say at this point, we should just jump into the dev environment. I think we kind of recap most of the stuff. I think it's probably just the best time I show people what the actual game is. I feel like we've already asked questions for like an hour pretty much, so rather than having everyone here for a whole 2 or 3 hours, let's speed things up a little bit.
Actually, another question was just asked. Well, there's your answer. There's your answer to that question. Will we see the room of SCP Unity?
We have our own, but we did want to like put a bit of a callback to them. So we do have our own Roomba. We didn't want to just copy and paste it, but yeah, it is there.
There is a reason since inception. Why won't the drones be friendly? Aren't you a Foundation employee? There will be a reason for that. A reason for why they're attacking you. So more on that at a later point.
Yeah. We pretty much thought over like almost every aspect of the story. There's probably a couple holes where we're still like meaning to like talk over, but yeah, everything pretty much already figured out at this point, such as that. I was gonna say, keep in mind, not even 939 is not even in that lineup right now.
Nope. I don't have them in the files because it's gonna get redone.
Oh yeah, true.
Who wrote the story for this game? Group effort? Yeah, actually, it was a group effort between us three. We've just been kind of figuring things out as we go.
Yep. We had writers, like I mentioned before, and they had some decent ideas, but a lot of it just after the tech demo was done, we kind of like sat back and thought everything through, and kind of just started talking over like where do we really want to go with things, like what do we want to accomplish, this, that, and the third. And after like months and months of just like talking over things and like planning stuff out, we've kind of are at the point where we are now.
So I just opened up the environment we briefly mentioned earlier. This will be something upcoming. We're not going to give any dates or anything, but you'll see this and more of this. So when looking at this, keep in mind that this is a blockout environment. This isn't finished like the lobby. So it's all basic shapes, basic matte colors and everything. But we're just kind of getting placements of things right. And everything. So I will be showing off some of the gameplay of some of the stuff you see in the area in front of me momentarily. So yeah. Assuming the game has depth of field, will there be an option to disable it? Yeah. All post-processing will have options to toggle things with it. So welcome to the Demolition Ranch, and today we'll be testing this fancy revolver on some human chickens.
Yeah.
In terms of the story, around what year does this take? Just curious if that's set or not. There's not really a set year. We have
a range.
Yeah, we have a range that we've talked about, but nothing's really been set. It's so far the range is around the 2040 mark, from what I remember.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which SCP in the lineup do you think will kill the average player most frequently? It's hard to say, because we have grunt SCPs, which are, we'll have multiple instances of them, like multiple 3199s, multiple 58s, yada yada. And then we have our basic quote unquote boss SCPs, like 323. Really, it just comes down to how you play, and how kind of like reckless you are, really.
Yeah. Some enemies require certain things while others don't. So it just kind of comes down to personal like play style.
So, two other questions. Were you part of MTF or were you just a normal employee? You are actually a part of a special force, TS nicknamed Zeta 12. Not going to go too far into that, though. Also, are you using Unreal Engine 5? We are actually running in Unreal Engine 5 right now, yes.
Yep.
What will the end
Unreal Engine
game?
5 is still like early production, so yeah.
What will the
But-
end game look like? Will you be able to explore the facility after beat the main game? If so, what will be the incentive to do that? So the end game, we can't really go too much into that because it kind of spoils some stuff. But there will be free roam and other stuff that'll be available after you beat the game. As well as
Yep.
there was an interesting concept talked about that would completely change how you play the game if we decide to put that in. If you beat the game, so that'll be a really interesting thing if we do that.
Big note, the game is like semi-open world. Like it does have like a very linear path when it comes to the story, but there will be a lot of like side missions, side quests, and you can pretty much go from one side of the facility to the other as long as you have the tools required to do so. So you can, if you wanted to, and you're like halfway to the end of the game, you could decide to just like to go 180 and just go back to the very beginning, just to like mess around and like do a side quest or this, that, and the third. If you want to progress if you want to get like further into the facility though, then you do need to progress the story. But if you want to ever go back, you can pretty much do that whenever.
So two other really good ones. Are you going to incentivize against sitting in one place for a while, like hiding in one place for several minutes? It'll take some testing to find a good thing to kind of kick people out from doing that, but like there really won't be, the gameplay won't be like Alien Isolation that'll force you into a one position for too long. So it's but also why Mars? Like I said in the beginning, our kind of goal is to bring SCP into something entirely new in every aspect that we possibly can. So we wanted to take people away from traditional facilities and everything, especially the traditional entrance heavy and light containment zones. And Mars was feasible and also interesting. And in terms of story, it makes a lot of sense why the Foundation would bring SCPs off planets. It's just the safest thing for Earth. I have one question.
Every SCP, every SCP in the containment log tells you why it's on Site 113.
Yeah,
we thought of that. Don't worry, we thought of that.
I have one question about loading screens. I want to see information of new SCP and loading screens. I've never seen new SCP. So loading screens, I don't know if we're going to have it. Our goal was not to, but obviously with a large like some quote unquote open world game, you're gonna need something like that somewhere. But when you're in the tram, we'll try to keep static 2D loading screens out as possible. But I do have plans for the tram for transitions. But if I can do that, you'll definitely see information on screens within the tram. And worst case scenario, if we do have 2D like loading screens, you'll see information there as well. Probably more Skyrim style, where it shows like a model and the information.
Keep note that the player also does have a wrist device. Sometimes you'll encounter SCPs that you don't like. Not everyone knows what it is, and the player does have tools that they can use to basically like scan that SCP and like gain information. And inside of their wrist device, they have an archive that'll like keep note of every SCP they encountered, every zone they've been through, every weapon, and
audio logs, text
even like
logs,
audio logs. And all that stuff. So if you ever encounter an SCP and you want to like know more about it, then you can go on the audio log and we'll have like a whole thing there for you. As well as like if you start seeing like scratch marks on a wall or like blood or like footprints, you'll be able to scan that and gain hints of what SCP you're about to encounter. That way you're a little bit prepared before before you get your ass handed to you.
So a couple other good ones. We'll be able to hack the drones. It hasn't been talked about, but that is a pretty good idea. We'll talk about that and go over that, but nothing on that right now. Will you be able to recontain SCPs? Technically, you're killing them. I don't know about recontaining.
That's recontaining them, all right?
But I'll just quickly go over the other two real quick. But SCP already has a base on the moon, and they have a task force on Venus. This is our universe. They don't in our universe, so.
Wow, that's a good one, I think.
I mean, if they do, we could probably like reference them or whatever. That's not really the biggest deal.
We actually
regardless
have
of like what those are.
We actually have another SCPM called SCP Event XK that we have talked about, kind of doing some references with. So that'd be cool. They are actually stationed on Venus. So in our universe, we may have some references to them. We'll have to talk with them later. But also, as a graphics nerd, can we see a graphics menu? No, not right now.
graphics, man.
Do you have a Fabricator animation?
Yeah.
So I actually, you
Not
did
yet.
you did just see the Fabricator. This is actually the Blockout model, not the full model. So
Yeah.
there are no animations for it yet. The UI on the screen down there is also what you can consider Blockout too. So yeah.
Yeah,
I will actually start to show some of the stuff off here.
You can start playing around. I'll quickly just go and talk over the actual what the point of this environment is. A lot of the props and tools in this environment right now are blockouts. Some things are definitely like some of the scavenging equipment, the weapons, stuff like that. Those are definitely like more or less finalized. But there's a lot of stuff like the Fabricator, for example. Like we have the blockout set up. These things here that Hack is looking at, the data cards, that's basically like where you get your blueprints for the Fabricator. That's just a blockout. As well as a couple other things, just so we can start like implementing the mechanics, getting things like prototyped out and worked up, so we can actually start like showing things off, showing people like the proof of concepts, and to show that this is even possible. Because most SCP games, they don't have anything besides like running and then probably like shooting. So having it so we can actually like prototype these mechanics off and like show it to them, like that's honestly our main focus. Right now, Hack is looking over the Fabricator and like picking up data cards. Yeah, you can see like every time he picks one up, he gets access to a new crafting material or a crafting recipe. There will be some instances where like you'll find them in other crafting recipes in other ways, but yeah, this is going to be one of the key ways of doing so. You can probably open up one of the crates. So you can see just one of the ways scavenging looks like.
So like in terms of like the actual messages that'll appear, their positions need tweaking.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
don't mind that.
Every UI element is just placeholder right now. We don't have a UI artist on the team, sadly. That's one of the roles that we're definitely like looking for. So that's just kind of whatever. But besides that, yeah.
These are the audio log and the data part count like cards. Their models are blockouts. We just want to get the mechanics set up real quick. But these are the audio logs. I'm actually going to open the inventory momentarily. The inventory is my favorite part, but the UI obviously is placeholder. We need a UI artist, so don't critique it too harsh. But once I'll show off the start picking up the audio logs and stuff once I get to the Codex aspect. But we'll also have terminals here. These ones don't have any UI on them, but you can press E that'll like zoom into them and you'll be able to like navigate them and mess with them. But real quick, I'm going to answer the question in text.
But yeah, we do have a mini map that's currently a blockout as well. We'll probably move the placement down to like the bottom left. And like once we get the UI artist on the team, we'll like pretty up and whatnot. Probably have it a bit more zoomed in.
Let's see. So will there be any enemies that make you feel completely helpless? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's going to be especially one, but there's going to be a couple of them that'll definitely make you feel something.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and open the inventory here. Some notes on it. It is a jigsaw inventory, just like Prey. So you can go ahead and move things around, rotate them, replace them around, yada yada yada. So that's definitely my favorite part. I spent a lot of time working on this. At the bottom you do see a hotbar, but that is severely experimental. The overall placement and how to handle that needs a lot of tweaking. But that's kind of there. So it's really cool. I'll go ahead and start picking some things up so you can see this in action.
Yeah. Keep note that the little screen that Hack is using is just like a little iPad model that we're using as a blockout, as well as the arms, which are already like pretty outdated. Where we showed what the new player model is going to look like.
And I'm actually going to real quick show you guys something really cool. So everything that I do when working, I also set it up so that it works with controllers. So that is no different for the controllers. You're able to, I just dropped the item, but you're able to pick things up, rotate them, crouching apparently. Let's see, what was my button for picking up? I don't remember. But yeah, everything is completely controller supported. We will be doing continuing that moving forward for a variety of reasons.
Yep.
Will there be a playable demo of the game before it's full release? 110%. We, like TS said previously, we actually have a date on something, but obviously, like we said.
Oh, we have a date.
Oh my god! Obviously, like we said before, we're not no information on that just yet. James mentioned earlier that we're going to have an archive. We call it the Codex. This is where you're actually going to have your text logs and stuff. Once again, UI completely completely block out the
Yeah.
placeholder. So don't critique on it too hard. But if I
was subconscious because he set it up himself.
yes, that's fair. Oh no, I did not mean to do that. Let me not pick that up. But if I come over here, and actually let me make sure they actually have some stuff on them. That they do, perfect. So if I come over here to the terminals, so you'll see here the Codex has absolutely nothing on them currently, and I start to interact with these terminals here. Hopefully that did not make anyone motion like sick. Don't mind that. That did not work.
Just pick up the audio logs.
Yeah.
These are all just like the base mechanics, by the way. These are all like small things that you'll just do. We have some other stuff that Hack will show off here in a second. Once again, movement's a big thing. We have a lot of tools, quote unquote, planned just to like give players different ways of interacting with the environment. And immersive gameplay is like one of those like big fancy words, but yeah, we're definitely gonna try to like keep that as a key factor for the actual game itself. Hack's now looking at some of these doors here. Yeah.
So a couple questions.
These are just blockouts once again.
Will the inventory also pause the game? Probably. I'm not a huge fan of it, but TS and James have advocated for it in the past. It'll come down to testing and seeing if like how necessary it really is. But it may.
It's one of those things where it's like it's nice to be able to pause the game so you can get up and like go to the bathroom, but it's also like you don't want to give people a safe thing that they could do so where they can just kind of like escape from all the SCPs and whatnot.
So another one, will you encounter only ever one SCP at a time? No. You'll encounter several SCPs at once, especially with our grunts. 3199s, for instance, you'll probably encounter between 3 to 4 of them at a time, maybe more, depending on how game testing goes. Yeah. Will there be explosives? Yeah, 100%. We already showed off one of the traps earlier. Let's see. Will you be able to move your mouse around and look around while the tablet is out? I may implement something like that. I experimented with it in the past with it, but we want to make sure everything feels good. So it'll all depend on that. Speaking on movement, will movement have the sort of TF2 style thing where it has slowdown and doesn't stop immediately? If you're talking about when you start to move, you kind of like slow down and don't immediately just stop as soon as you let go of the key. Probably not. That does happen for swimming, but not for straight movements. Let's see. Will there be notes around left by staff in addition to audio logs? Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So there will be both text logs and audio logs, as well as individual like notes and stuff you'll just find on tests and stuff. Will you have blood effects on the HUD if you're low on health? Yeah. There'll be visual like indications that you're low on health. Also, if you look in the bottom left corner, it's very, very slow, but you'll see a yellow bar going down right now. That is actually because I have my flashlight on at the moment. So the player will have suit power. Your power has its own kind of energy level, basically. And as you use stuff, that power level will go down. So once that hits 0, you'll actually see the flashlight will fade out. The only way to increase that will be using batteries that you find around the facility. But there will also probably be others, charging stations or something else that we implement as well. So yeah, you'll see, there it goes. Just faded out. And if you get some batteries, it'll fade back in just like it did with it when it went out. But you'll
mind.
Yeah, go ahead. You're fine.
Keep in mind that the suit energy actually affects more than just your flashlight.
Yep.
We have suit power actually kind of like does a lot. It's all just like built into other systems. The one thing that has like the most effect on is obviously your battery, but other things will probably be like if you're swimming around and you have like full power weather, your oxygen level will probably decrease at like a standard rate. But if you have no suit power, then your oxygen level is going to basically decrease at a much faster rate. So it's one of those sort of instances where the power actually plays in a bigger role, but it's not going to be something that like it's going to be constantly annoying you. So don't worry about the speed that it is right now. That's mostly just for testing.
Yep.
We'll probably slow that down a little bit and have like a percentage indicator so you can actually like keep better tabs of it. But
so there's a lot of questions I want to answer here. Is sprint also part of suit power? No. It won't be.
Yeah.
When exploring new zones, will the minimap be fully unlocked from the start, or will you have to walk around to expand its view? The end goal is to have it so you'll have to walk around, and there will be some maps, like terminals, that you can interact with to unlock more parts of it. It won't just be like an entirely dark section that like you have to walk
Be very
around to see
Doom,
it.
like
Will there be section of the game when a little breach has occurred in the facility walls, making use of oxygen possibly? Yep. The oxygen will be a heavy thing used a lot throughout the facility for a variety of different reasons. So yeah. Will enemy attacks be telegraphed? Some may. In particular, we know of like one that will. But for the majority of enemies, nah, they won't be telegraphed. Will there be separate suit battery systems, or will it be all be one bar? It'll just be one bar. We don't want to make things too complicated, because that is a problem. Let's see. Will the stream be recorded and remain on the channel after it's over? Yeah, it should remain on the channel. Let's see. So you're just making an SCP Dead Space. That'd be great. Like Dead Space is a big inspiration. We would love to, but I digress. But
it'll be close.
Moving back on to actual gameplay, though, what I have in front of me is the blockouts of one of our door models. Again, blockouts, not the full final model. Keep that in mind. But it is something you can kind of expect to see. The reason it is in is because of a mechanic that I'm actually about to start working on, which I will go over momentarily. But I think it is actually really, really beautiful. I'm really happy with how the actual animation turned out. Like, phenomenally happy.
Yeah.
He likes his doors, guys.
That I do. So with doors, there'll be a variety of them, obviously, but we plan to have two mechanics basically when it comes to doors, like in terms of slowing SCPs down. So SCPs will, the majority of them, not all of them, but the majority of them will be able to actually destroy doors. So you're going to need some means to slow them down when doing that. People who played Fractured, you'll remember that we actually had 173 able to destroy doors, which is absolutely terrifying when you're down in his area and you just hear the doors just blow open. It's fantastic. But in this case, for doors like these, you'll have your basic locking mechanism, which will mainly be for an enemy I'm not going to go over just yet, or an enemy type. But yeah, you'll just be able to lock them normally. However, we've actually shown off a tool in our blogs, one of our blog posts a while ago, called the Welder, which will actually allow you to weld doors shut. So that answers your question, that guy. Yes, there will be welding, not just for airlocks, but for doors in general. And I'm actually about to start work on that, probably here during the stream. I don't know how that's going to go, but I digress.
I just linked our Kickstarter in the comments. I better see all 25 of you go follow it. All of you, no excuses.
But yeah, so you'll be able to weld doors shut and reinforce them essentially. That won't make them 100% like safe, basically. Like SCPs will still be able to break through them, but it will take more to do so.
Yeah.
Let's see. Will there be DLC after the game is fully released? There have been talks of DLC, but nothing has been confirmed. So that there's that.
Yeah, let us complete the 1.0 release of the game first before we get into that.
Yeah.
We already have some really good ideas that we're wanting to get like some concepts made and like plan it out a bit more in depth. But for now, our main focus is definitely like single player and making sure that's as good as possible. Oh, there goes your battery again.
Yep.
There will be other doors besides these. There'll be like swinging doors, there'll be like giant gates, a bunch of stuff, and there'll be multiple ways of interacting with doors, like getting them open besides just going up and pressing each of them. For example, currently it's not in this build. I will be like setting up the blockout models for those rather soon, and probably show that off in like the next stream whenever that comes up. But there will be other things like there'll be to open certain doors you'll need like certain access codes or stuff like that. In other doors, you'll need they'll be like hard locks, so you need to like turn off a generator or something of the sorts in order to turn down the defenses and stuff like that. So there'll be more to doors than just pressy.
There's some really, really good questions I want to answer here. So, well, are some doors stronger than others for specific containment areas? So yeah, there will be a variety of doors, some of which are way stronger than others. If you look at these large open sections here, these will have large blast doors. Those would be next to impossible, besides for like maybe one SCP to destroy. Let's see. Is the current crosshair a placeholder? 110%. Yeah, basically.
Remember,
What
all
is
UI is a placeholder.
Yeah. What is your workflow like? How do you organize working together, and how many people are working on the game? In terms of the people like in engine, it's really just me right now. James works in occasionally, but a lot of his time for the last like while has been just working outside of it. So it's rather
Yep.
easy. Realistically, it's just James and I, and we work really well together. So, but in terms of how many
Yep.
people are actually working on the game, the main game itself, in terms of models, programming, audio, it would probably come down to about 4 people max for actually working the game. But if you count concept art and other stuff like that, then we have probably a maximum of about 9, I think, people currently. That
Yeah.
is. Um,
So
can we fix the holes in the wall so we don't have to worry about oxygen? That's an interesting idea. We haven't talked about it, but I could definitely see that being something that we do. Um, let's see. All these current graphics will be in the final game, right? Nope, they'll be better.
yeah, they'll be much better. Well, once again, what you're looking at is just a blockout. Like this was just made purely to get the measurements of spaces, so we can start messing around with things such as like mobility and stuff, which I could probably go and like bounce around in a second. As well as just like give an environment for us to be able to start showing stuff off. As we like work, like at the coming weeks go on, we're gonna be adding a ton more to this environment. Where you have stuff that isn't even in this, that's already like set up. But we have much larger plans for this this
Yep.
space in general.
If you look at
Um,
the table currently in front of me, this is all the resources that we have currently modeled. There may be more, but this is a wide amount right now. So
yeah,
essentially, what this is, you'll find miscellaneous resources like these hanging around the facility. They only take up 1 block in your actual inventory. Some of them might take up more. I'm not sure yet, but in any case, you'll take these resources to the fabricator here, and you'll actually be able to recycle those into the raw materials you're gonna need. It is very prey, very prey. So that you can expect the gameplay for that to be relatively the same, really. So
you'll
you'll have
also be able
to.
to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, you'll also be able to melt down the materials, and there is currently like a blockout of like a capsule that can basically like refine like the metals and plastics into these more compact containers. So rather than carrying around like 30 different blocks that are all filled up by individual scrap materials, we will like forge them down so they take up much less space in your inventory. So inventory management is a big thing. This lighting, it's not bad. Could probably show off like climbing and like the little parkour area as well, just to show off
Yeah,
like
will do.
the actual mobility that we're planning to do.
You know,
Actually, can you
it,
climb
it
over this door? Can you jump over it?
probably not. No, okay. Oh. Well, it'll have a wall over it, so.
Well, yeah, obviously. I'm just curious.
Look at that.
It like the slide actually works really good when like you're trying to go through open doors. Well, if
Like
I
close the
did.
door behind you.
Yeah,
That's
basically.
pretty
Close it.
cool.
Close it
Close
while
the
you're
door
going
behind
through
you.
it. Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, it'll probably be slow down a
There you
little
go.
bit, but slide a little further. Right now it's just like the sliding is a little rough. It's not far off though.
This is actually a really good question. What will the platform mingle be like? Full on Dying Light parkour, just running and jumping type stuff. So, going full Dying Light would be very difficult for our tiny little studio. If I'm being completely honest with you, but Dying Light is definitely an inspiration. We do like the way the mobility feels. However, because our games in terms of environments are massively different, so I don't think like to that extent would really work for FM when we're trying to stay as close as possible to the horror aspect. Also, the slide seems a bit too fast. Yeah, the sliding, like I'm actually planning a rework of it here shortly. So
yeah, that's the one mobility thing we need to iron out a bit.
will you guys need QA testers for the alpha build? Nope. TS is a one-man army for it.
Apparently, I am.
Or will it be a public release for patrons and then the actual public? That's spot on.
Well.
Actually, yeah, patrons will be getting it early and will basically be our QA testers.
To go over a bit more like the mobility and like what it's going to be used for, just so you have an understanding of like why it's even in the game. For like a horror game having like crazy mobilities, that at first sounds a little off, but if you think about it, let's say like an SCP is running at you and you see like a vet in the distance, you'll be able to like slide into it and have like that rush of like adrenaline hit you, of like barely be able to slide under it, or even like a giant closing gate, be able to like slide underneath. Additionally, with things like the be able to like clamber over, like mantling over items, just makes it so like jumping on top of certain props and stuff like that is a lot easier because of like how big the environment is. We will have a lot of very like high points and like tall structures they can basically like climb over, and having the mantling system will help make things feel a lot smoother. All the mobility right now still needs to be ironed out, but for the most part, it's here. Yeah, we have this little like parkour arena where you can like mess around with it. It is
So,
currently like
we can't get fully through it. I'm not gonna go. I'll talk about the hooks later, but
yeah,
right,
don't even mention that. Yeah,
yeah. So you will actually have mantling over things. So you won't have to rely solely on your jump. You will actually be able to just directly mantle over things. Also, just like from Fractured, we have climbing back in, but obviously a heck of a lot better. Let's see. Can you damage? What will the damage systems for SCPs be like? Can you damage limbs like in Dead Space? It is something I've thought about going that
Yeah.
far, but it will definitely take a lot of testing and work to get it feeling right. So
I mean, if we're adding in like swords, one of the big things is we definitely want to add in like slicing up SCPs.
mesh
It
slicing.
just comes down to like
it
just comes
cool.
down to a matter of like
That was
resources.
nice. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I kind of want to talk about the hooks, but at the same time, I'm not too sure about it.
Yeah. I'm having the concepts made for it, so yeah, we'll hold off until next one. We'll give people like a little tease, and they can skip.
Just know there will be another mobility
Speculate
mechanic
about it.
basically.
Yeah, you can go in the swimming area if you want to show off a little bit of that.
That is correct.
But yeah, that all of our mobility options have their points and like the reasonings behind them, as well as the other one that we're teasing. Fast travel systems, we have trains. That's kind of like the big thing. We don't want to do like Skyrim level fast traveling. If you want to like go through one area back to another, obviously you need to go through like your train stations or whatnot. But we're gonna make them like relatively accessible, so it's not gonna be too bad. Right now, if you're looking at hack screen, there's like the blue bar that's basically your placeholder for your oxygen right now. Once again, this whole environment is basically just a test environment. So everything is specifically built to show off mechanics. There's a lot that's being in the works right now that I'm currently setting up to be put in this environment. There'll be like a shooting range. Well, there already is a shooting range, but there'll be like a duck hunt shooting range where you'll get like score points and stuff like that. You have like time trials. You'll have like obstacle courses. You'll have a bunch of stuff because once again, we're planning on eventually letting you guys, the community, like jump in this environment and play around with literally everything. It's still a little bit far out, not by much. Like you'll be surprised when we finally announce it. But there is still a lot more that we want to do with this place.
Should we go over what this place actually is, like some of the stuff details of it, or hold off?
I mean, there's not really much. It is basically just like a training center. That's pretty much all it really is. This will be a location inside the actual story mode, but it's not gonna like be
like
like
this.
a big thing. Yeah, it'll be a bit more
it won't like
toned down.
It was basically repurposed here for our needs to show off mechanics and everything. But in the actual game, like a lot of like the all these stuff here, that's kind of just like scattered here, that'll all be gone. And yeah, some other stuff.
Yeah, we'll probably throw in like huge overgrown trees and like a bunch of other stuff. This, that, and the third. There's a lot planned for here that we can't really get into just yet. We'll probably go over more of it during the next stream because I'll probably have like, I don't know, like 50% of the big stuff that we're planning on putting in like added in within the next 3 or 4 days. But yeah, there's a lot. That's there's a lot. What was I gonna say? Oh, besides this inner area, there is also the outer like hallways. We can tease it and like you can like look around a little bit because some of them are kind of interesting. Just to like look at. But there is a lot that's gonna go on around the perimeter of this facility, so you won't just be inside this one massive space. There will be other sections that kind of like branch out into, as well as this inner structure also isn't just stationary. Like there will be some moving parts as well as certain sections that can be like basically modified to test out like other mechanics and stuff like that.
Let's see. Where was it? I just saw it. Oh my god. Can you bunny hop? Used to be able to bunny hop. That has since been removed. But yeah, used to.
It would have broken too much. I'll be honest. Fall damage, that is something we're planning on putting in, but it's not going to be like bad. Just because it's like fall damage is honestly kind of annoying. It's a good way to like make it so people can't just like jump off an elevator shaft. Kind of like make them go through like areas where we want them to. So it will be in the game. It just won't be like annoying. And that's the big thing. At this point, you could probably just start picking up some of the weapons or stuff like that. That way they can at least see it. You don't have to swing around. Yeah. Once again, the animations are placeholder.
Some of these arms actually, these arms are being remade currently by Airspice.
Yep.
So keep that in mind.
As well as remember the UI is all still placeholder, but it is in the game. It is functioning. Yeah, so it's all pretty much there.
This revolver is special, by the way. This can be it's modular, so 25 ammo actually will make sense. Promise.
So like when looking at the current like animations and everything, think of it like the lobby. We've shown off the lobby in several iterations, like over the months, and we went from. I wish TS could you get a before picture, basically like an older picture of it when we're kind of looking meh.
The lobby.
Yeah, the lobby.
I mean,
and think of it like the lobby from what it was to what we just showed off not long ago. Can I ask, are you able to do multiple tasks at once, like welding a door, but quickly looking behind you in case something sneaks up? That is tricky. That is tricky to get interactions like that basically set up so where you can do multiple things. I'm gonna say no for right now, but I can definitely see where like how it'd be kind of needed and interesting. So it would be something that I would be willing to work on and see if I can get implemented. I just don't expect it.
I just sent you the image.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus, that one's
That's
so
an
old
one.
All right, so good lord. All right, so you guys saw the lobby before. This was the lobby, and it's like earlier states. So look at this, and then look at what we showed you here. I'll actually go and reopen that up very quickly. Oh my gosh.
Will you ever be forced to enter research and development? Yes, it's one of the zones you have to go in. Dark zones, most of those are gonna be optional. I think we'll have probably push you into one just to kind of get you to the use of the feel of it.
Yeah. There'll definitely be like 1 or 2 story instances where you need to go in there. Nothing like Tia said, it is optional. So it's one of those things like if you want to go in and like take the risk of like high risk, high reward type of situation, then it's there. But it will never gonna force you down there just because of how crazy difficult we want actually that place to be. If you want like a Dark Souls type environment or a situation where like you're up against the world and a couple hits can easily take you out, then hey man, go for the dark zones. But if you want to like prepare a little bit, then jeez, it's such a stark difference.
Yep.
Yeah, that is a little bit interesting.
So real quick, actually, with Senception's question about will you be forced into research and development or other dark zones? Dark zones are not research and development or aquaponics or stuff like that. Dark zones are a specific term we used for a specific section underneath the hub. It's in residential, basically. That I'll bring up another map again to show that off. Where was it? Okay, so if you take a look at the actual map here, so on the left we obviously have the Flesh and Hate section. That is R&D, research and development. The like area back there with all the ice, that is the military zone. On the right with all the like trees and everything, that's aquaponics. And on the left here, that is what we consider the entrance zone of our game. But in the center here, the smaller dome on the top, that is what we call the hub. We'll talk about that briefly, but underneath that, the surrounding area underneath that is residential. Consider that the off time for personnel. That is where you're going to have parks, malls, shopping centers, everything like that. Because the personnel on Mars here, they're living there basically. They're going to need off time. So we'll talk about that momentarily, that guy. But so residential is very mall-like basically, and dark zones are in there. Dark zones are completely optional sections that are high risk, high reward areas. They're called dark zones because they're pitch black, basically, and there will be some like light, like dark related enemies, like SCPs that are related to darkness, basically. That will be kind of chilling out in there. Yeah.
We're pretty much getting close to like the 2 hour mark. We probably won't go much further off of that. I know some of you guys are happy that we're at 2 hours.
I didn't realize
We definitely can't do this all day. We don't want to lead too much, but probably to end it off, we'll probably go over to the different slides that Hack has open, just kind of talking over each one of those. Most of those have already been shown off. We'll kind of just go in, talk a bit more about it, ask 2 questions, and then pretty much just end it right after there.
Real quick,
We will do another stream.
There are actually 2 questions I'm going to answer, and those are the last questions I'm going to answer before we go over the things here. So,
Sounds good.
First off, will there be Scranton reality anchors? No, we don't have any reality bending stuff in FM or anything like that. So, no, there won't be any of those. And that was another question was, can you talk more about the customization ability of the hub? So we can go into that if you'd like, James, but it's up to you.
Yeah.
Since you, all right.
No, yeah, we can tease most of it. Just give like a quick rough rundown.
So this is actually our concept for the hub here. I'm pretty sure we showed it off. If not, well, congratulations, you guys get a leak.
Oh yeah, we have. We have.
This is considered the player's safe space, basically, where you can come back to and kind of recoup, and it'll have like your storage areas, like it'll read your missions and stuff to go to the facility. This is what makes the game "quote unquote" open world, basically, because you can come back here and get the missions to go to the sections, or you can just go to the sections on your own. There will be obvious reasons why you don't want to just go to research and development right off the bat, pertaining to the Flesh That Hates and your inability to really deal with it. But we're not just going to hard block you from not being able to go do that if you want to. If you're stupid enough, basically, to do that. Yeah.
Big thing to keep in mind is things like the Fabricator. Those aren't like crazy common throughout the facility. So unless you want to like take the risk and go back to it in a zone that might have gotten repopulated by enemies, and like try to work your way back into there to get access to the Fabricator, the better option will probably be to just go back to the hub, go to like a safer environment where you can like store things, like put stuff in your storage, or start crafting things, recycle some things down, this and the third. It's also a good place, like Hack said, to get your next missions, and a good place to just like kind of like relax and take a breather. The hub will be a part of the multiplayer, but we can get into that a little bit later. Backstory wise, the hub is essentially just like the facility like overseer kind of office. This is like where they go, not necessarily O5 council area, because they probably wouldn't really have their own office space here because they're moving around so much.
It's just the facility overseer, the site director, basically. This is where they chilled out.
Obviously this place is going to be locked down, so like it's going to be pretty much like kept up, because a spot like this no one will really have access to except for the site director. But when people start like evacuating, obviously he will be one of the first people out of here, so no one will really have access to this spot except for someone like you who was brought down to the facility like as orders from the O5. So that's why it's going to be one of the only areas that's still kind of like cleaned up and not so like in shambles like the rest of the facility. When it comes to mechanics and other like systems that's going to go on here, we can tease some of the stuff, but there will be a lot of customization here. I'm sure if you guys read through the blog that TS set up, yes, you will be able to customize this place and decorate it. Yes, we will have like a whole like thing where you can like move around furniture and this and the third, and it will save and so on and so forth. We'll also have a bunch of display items where you can like store some items that you're probably not going to use again, but you love the look of and you want to just like show off. Additionally, there will be some other options like it depends. I don't know if we want to really get into it, but there will be a lot of customization here, just a lot.
Yeah, we're not going to go too far into the other stuff along with the customization that we have planned, but the main thing to note is that there will be sections throughout here that you'll be able to place relics that you find. There was talks about cutting off SCP heads and using them as trophies.
Yep.
Like there might be some sections where you can change like the material on the floor. Like we don't want to go full on Sims, so not quite like that. But we want to give the players a way to kind of express themselves in this area, because it'll play a part in multiplayer to an extent. So some part. So yeah.
Besides that's pretty much all we can really share about it. Probably the last little tidbit will be like there will be some other like secrets and stuff within the hub, Easter eggs and whatnot. There'll probably also be like a safe in the back of one of the offices where like if you go through the game and do a couple side missions, you'll get access to a code that then lets you open up the site director's personal safe and get access to a couple like extra little goodies. There'll be a lot of stuff like that throughout the game as a whole, but there will be one here specifically as well for to have something for you to work towards essentially. More about that at a later date though. I see you can move on to the next slide.
Yeah, the next one's just the interior map, but we've already gone over that. Anything else you want to say about the drones?
Not necessarily. Right now they're still in the blockout phase. We'll get their AI and their animation set up rather soon, so we'll show that off
So
relatively soon.
What's shown here is actually the what we call the mining suit. It is an extension of the base player suit. So as we talked about earlier, when we show off the player model, that is just the base suit, your base outfit. But you will be able to get essentially armor pieces that you can attach on top of it, and this will be one of them. You can take it from there, James.
Yeah, we're gonna have several different armor sets, essentially what we're calling them, because that's what they are. But we also have different like suit attachments and stuff like that to be able to customize. One of the big things is like the wrist device. We have like the standard version of it. We might make a couple others. You can just change the look of it, as well as like just kind of giving the player a bit more of options to like personalize it. A lot of these outfits and like armors essentially will be able to transfer over multiplayer as well. So it will be a lot of customization in multiplayer. In multiplayer, they probably won't have as big of an effect when it comes to like stats compared to like single player. But even then, in single player, it's mostly going to be cosmetic. There will be some instances where certain things, like you've probably seen the Juggernaut version of this, like a suit like that will definitely have much more a higher defense stats, but also like obviously make it so you can't really stick around. Some like the mining suit will probably have like extra like if you look at the backpack, that'll probably be like a storage device for like oxygen, so it'll increase your oxygen as well as your power. But once again, like it'll have other downsides here and there. A lot of the armors will not just be able to like be swapped out like helmet or chest plates like individually, but there will be like color variants and like different textures for some of them. So yes, you will also be able to have different skins for your armor as well as your weapons. Besides that, that's pretty much all we can say about that for now.
Fun fact, we've been talking about the wrist device a lot, but we haven't actually showed it off. However, the next image is actually our concept for the wrist device.
Oh yeah, true.
So the screen on next week. the screen on here is it's whatever at this point. The screen on here is smaller than what it actually probably will come out to be. But there'll be a variety of features. I'm not going to go too in depth with this because like Tia said, that'll be the blog post next week or this week. Yeah, I guess.
But no, those aren't pockets.
he'll go more in depth as to what exactly you'll be able to do with this. So just keep that in mind. And then of course some other stuff that we've actually already shown off. This is our concept for the Flamethrower. TS, since you made up a nice little thing about it, go ahead and talk about
this. Up? Are you kidding me? This thing actually exists. Don't say that. No, so this is the Pheonix. And if you think that's a generic name, feel free to give me a better one. But so this is Pheonix. This is a awesome flamethrower. This thing's gonna be super cool. It's gonna be able to get up to 1500 degrees Celsius with the flame temperature. Thanks to my great writing saying that they developed a really cool substance that they use for generating the flame in the facility, and the barrel also having a really cool substance that they designed within the facility. And that is not lazy writing. That is good writing. Not lazy writing.
Mechanic-wise, there's more to the flamethrower than just flames. We'll probably go over that later. I don't know if in the blog post it necessarily mentioned it, but there is more to it. And yes, you will also have different skins for this.
Yes, you'll have flamethrower skins. One of the things, though, yeah, one of the things for it that was actually going to affect a specific SCP. I'm not going to say which one just yet, but it will. Yeah. So just know that.
A lot of our weapons also have like that prototype feel to it, because some of them will be found in something like research and development, because the facility does have a big emphasis on testing out different weaponry and ways of handling SCPs.
Real quick, also, the flamethrower isn't just a flamethrower. It actually has a secondary purpose, which, funnily enough, is
say that later.
Fair enough.
Say it later, though. Yeah.
Fair enough.
I don't think we've talked about it just yet.
Yeah, not yet.
You haven't? You didn't? You talk about it in the blog post? I swear you did.
No.
Well, never
Well,
mind.
no.
Never mind. Never mind. Forget that.
You'll
Forget
see. You'll see.
Yeah,
You'll
we'll,
see.
we'll get to it. We'll get to it later. Yeah, we'll get to it later. For now, don't worry too much about it. Then we have the
This is my
Railgun,
favorite,
which
by the way.
this was also shown off in the blog in one of the blog posts. This is more of like an end game weapon, so you're not just gonna have this like at the start of the game or not even halfway through the game. Ammo for this is gonna be very, very rare, so don't just use it on every SCP you see. If you encounter like a very heavy duty SCP or other enemy types at the facility, it's gonna basically be your perfect go-to. Just make sure that if you use some of those shots too early, and you might there's a good chance you'll encounter another group of just as equally difficult SCPs later on, and you might not have as good of a time handling those.
It's a great false sense of security if you don't have ammo for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Ammo will be craftable though, so you're not going to be 100% screwed. Just make sure you realize that crafting materials as well are going to be somewhat limited. Not as much, obviously, because we do want players to like make a bunch of stuff. But if you just use up all your resources on nothing but ammo for the railgun, you're not going to have much resources left over for like stronger like armor or other tools or this and the third, or even like food and this that. Yeah. So
real quick,
be careful.
If I had to compare this to a weapon that you guys are used to, it would actually be, what was it, the HID? I think it was from like SL and Container Breach.
Yeah.
It's a really
Somewhat,
big,
yeah.
a really big electrical gun. But fires differently basically. But that's in terms of like heavy dutiness. That's what this is basically like. It should only really be used on the big SCPs, the big
Yeah.
ones, like 323. Will we become John Wick by the end of the game? No, you will not.
Yeah, no, sorry. If you're skilled enough, and you like are able to use the mobility and the weapons well enough, you'll be able to feel like John Wick whenever. But to an extent, like this is still a horror game. Don't expect you to like jump in the middle of a crowd of a bunch of SCPs and come out unscathed. If anything, you'll probably come out like with 1 point of like your health, and that's about it. Another thing to keep in mind though that we probably didn't mention too much, not necessarily for guns, but a lot of melee weapons do have a durability meter.
Oh yeah. that's
So
right.
just jumping into a group of SCPs and just whacking all of them, like you are going to start breaking your weapons. No, they're not going to just like shatter. They'll just kind of like it'll be very what was it, Dying Light-esque. Well, they just won't be as efficient and won't do any real damage.
If you paid attention to the inventory earlier when I was moving items around, you'll actually have seen a green bar underneath like the actual item. That was indeed the
Yep.
durability bar.
Yes, there will be big recoil for something like the railgun. The pistol also has like a hand cannon modification that we're gonna probably show off in the coming months, probably, depending on like when that gets put in. That will have like crazy recoil, but also crazy damage. This time and third. Yeah, this is a fabricator, as you can look on like the top right. That little like cylinder. That's essentially like where you'll melt down your material and put it into that. But that'll take up like 2 slots in your inventory, but you'll basically be able to like melt down about like 80 to 90% of all of your crafting material into just one of these capsules.
One thing to note, however, some weapons won't need the raw material that you can like break them down to.
Oh yeah,
You'll need the actual items. So you saw the flaming machete previously. It had a gas tank on it. You actually can find that gas tank as a resource out and about. You'll need that specifically. You can't recycle that down. You'll need the actual item in the creation of that.
there'll also be like a special like a crafting material that like each item will need, like hexing, like the flamethrower. The axle, for example, like you'll need to save some of your batteries that you use for your suits in order to like create that, as well as a couple other weapons. But that's all like in the works still. There's still a lot we want to do with that. Additionally, we showed off like the crafting recipes, little blueprints that will be you'll be able to find that just like hidden all over the place, or like buy them through certain means.
Ooh.
Up next is the welder. This is just a concept for it. We already have a blockout, which I don't think Hack showed it off.
Nope.
But that's what's currently being worked on right now, like being able to like weld doors and
The
stuff like that.
mechanic of that,
And then
yeah.
we already have the blockout made. This is a concept for it. Essentially, is like what it looks like. You'll be able to weld shut doors, but you'll also be able to use it for other things, such as like opening up vents for like possibly, now that you guys brought up the idea, we could actually use it to repair like oxygen things. We did talk about already having this repair things like for specific puzzles, like maintenance panels and stuff like that for that instance. But yeah, we could definitely transfer that over for like oxygen for like if there's a poison leak or something like that, or to fix up uh openings in like a hole, so on and so forth. Okay.
He vented. It's Among Us. You can vent.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool.
there will be vents. Yeah. Another thing is the healing gun. I forgot what that would call this thing.
syringe.
Syringe gun.
Syringe gun. There you go. The syringe gun. This thing is basically like your main means of like healing yourself. There will also be different types of vials. Some of them will just do like basic healing. Some of them will be more advanced. Then there'll also be like buffs and debuffs. Additionally, because like if you haven't noticed, we're calling it a syringe gun. So yes, you will be able to shoot syringes out at SCPs. So you have different like debuffs and buff effects to them, depending on like what you're using them for. So if we ever end up adding in that SCP like fighting each other kind of thing, yeah, that you'll be able to basically make certain SCPs go berserk and start attacking their own kind. Hacked right now showing off one of the animations. Once again, this is also a blockout, but I mean it's not far off. So that's already set up. Yeah, the
Such a
syringe
good
gun.
animation.
Yeah.
Damn.
What's up, Zerendo?
Oh.
So, yeah, Zerendo is our lead like modeler when it comes to all of the SCPs, but he is also setting up all of our blockout animations. The syringe gun model on that animation though is just a blockout, like it's nowhere near finished. Similar to the syringe, the welder that we have set up. So all that's already pretty much there. It's all just a matter of like implementing them into the game and like getting a couple extra animations in to like really smooth things out. Other than that, I mean, we pretty much have. It pretty much goes over everything we want to talk about.
So all your weapons and everything, Techno, will be in your inventory. So it'll be fairly easy to keep track of all of them. There'll also be keybinds for everything as well, and
A weapon
prompts
wheel.
and prompts on screen that'll tell you like what item, like what weapon. So, but like between the flamethrower, the railgun, yada yada yada, like there'll be prompts telling you kind of like which weapon you're gonna or like which item you'll pretty much need. We'll do our best to help people and make sure it doesn't seem confusing as all. Don't worry.
So if you go up to a door, you'll obviously have like the press key to open, but right underneath that will be like press whatever to start welding, and then you just press that. So rather than
Also-
having like whip out your welder, it would just be like automatic.
Yeah. Also, yeah, you won't have access to all of them directly at once. You will gain access to them over time, especially like the bigger weapons. So you'll get introduced to them and get used to using them as you kind of unlock more. So
yeah, it's also going to be there's going to be more tools than just these. They'll have like different ways of like getting through the facility. So this will act in a lot of ways like a Metroidvania, in the sense like early on in the game you'll see certain things that are like oh, like that there's something definitely up there, but you won't be able to get there until you progress further in the game and like find the tools needed to get to that spot. More on that later though. Okay,
will there be multiple
I mean,
SCPs in the hunt or just one? Multiple. If you're talking about
Yeah.
in one game, more on that later. But there'll be other multiple playable SCPs in the hunt that you'll be able to use.
And with that, we pretty much already hit the 2-hour mark. We can pretty much just answer questions for a couple more minutes, and at that, we're pretty much just gonna call it good.
Hit us with your hardest hitting questions. We
Yes.
they actually, surprisingly enough, your questions have been very helpful and
Yeah.
helping us figure stuff out and get some ideas flowing. So
Big thing to keep in mind is there's a lot that we're planning on putting in game, both weapon type, equipment type, traps, armor, customization, this, that, and the third. Right now, our main focus is just setting up the fundamentals. We're not planning on really going into early or not early access, into the Kickstarter anytime like soon, but it's not far off. And the big plan is to get as much done leading up to that point.
yeah, we're taking our time, making sure everything gets done, polished. We don't want to be rushing anything because everyone knows rush
Yeah.
products are never good. So we're just making sure that we have all of our bases covered before we release anything. We want to make sure the product we give to you guys is worth what we're going to be asking for.
There's a question about the
Uh,
difficulty in
Yeah, I saw
saving.
that. Is the difficulty going to affect where/how often you can save? As I have mentioned before, the saving will be a mixture between quick saving and checkpoints. So I can't go too in depth right now with any kind of saving questions. It'll really require gameplay testing to figure out what feels nice when it comes to saving. So um, basically, just hold that off for later. Some Soviet wave or space music in the background. There will probably be some sections that have music like that
Yeah.
playing like over a loudspeaker or something.
Yeah.
First alpha build
another-
prediction.
Oh,
You guys ready?
Yeah. Just when it's ready. Yeah. It
I
was
love that.
confirmed
can't
that
say
it was confirmed that SCP-096 was not going to be added to the main game, but from what I've heard, it might be in a different game mode. Does that still hold up to today? Kind of. It requires 096 is a very weird SCP to balance correctly because of the way it was written. So it needs a lot of thought put behind it before it can be put into a game. So I won't 100% confirm that it won't be in the game at all. For now. So just that's all I'll say. Can I play music over my wrist device?
yes.
We've actually talked about adding a like a Pip-Boy style. I'm pretty sure the Pip-Boy had a radio that you could listen to. We considered it, so you can basically.
I mean, it's already in the game. Like, there's already an audio like they can pick up and play music off of.
I'm talking about like actual. But yeah, were we able to use parts of SCPs as weapons? Chicken thing. Actually, that was talked about. Believe it or not. We're not going to go into that right now, but it was talked about.
Let's just say scavenging plays a big role in the game, and you're not just going to only be scavenging off of boxes and like crates around the facility. So I mean, if you're going to go in, if you see like a dead like 323, you might want to scavenge it and like, hey man, maybe this time you got lucky and you can like take his skull this time or whatnot. Maybe there's like
Atheon, if you're talking about us, the music will be our own. Basically, if people mod in custom music, well, that's on them, not on us. We're not at fault. So, yeah. Any other questions? Big thing questions that you guys might have.
Also, if you don't get them answered here, you can go ahead and just save them for the next one, or you can just send me them.
Yeah.
Or you can put them in the comments.
A topic. What is the one thing you guys want to see in the next devlog? Like, we can like. Do you guys want to see more AI? Do you want to see more weapons, more guns, more mechanics? What do you guys want to see? Like that. That's a big thing because we are planning on doing another dev stream rather soon. Gameplay demo. Yeah, we are doing a gameplay demo. It just won't be released to the public for a good bit. Story. That's we can't say too much because we wanted to be a surprise, but we can probably get into it a bit more. AI would be Pog. Yeah, we could definitely try to like fix up the AI we have now to be a bit more presentable. It just comes down to like getting cleaner and cleaner animations. That's the big thing. So yeah, what I'm seeing is mostly just AI and just overall gameplay and guns. Those are the big ones. Pretty standard, yeah. Wasn't expecting much else, honestly. General flow of combat. Yeah, that's a big thing. So one of the things we're going to start setting up soon is blocking, which we didn't really mention right now. Yes, you will be able to block incoming attacks. That is going to be a big mechanic when it comes to melee combat, because once again, melee combat is a big thing. So we could probably start prototyping it soon. Once the flying drones are set up, they'll probably set up so they'll shoot at you like these, like plastic rubber balls or just some placeholder that you can start prototyping out the blocking. Shields, right? Shields. I did bring this up a while back. That is something that would add to blocking. So like another form of like armor that you can attach to the player and have like different types of like shields you can attach onto your body. So we'll look into it. Parrying, me and TS really like the idea. Hack is not completely convinced just yet.
Legend of Zelda type stuff.
I would love it.
There's a couple things here that I want to answer. First off, is will there be companions? No, that there won't be companions. This isn't a dating sim. There won't be companions.
Hey man, where did that word come from? It's what? Dating sim? What?
Dating sim.
The main thing.
Why would you use that word particularly?
The main thing that I'm seeing in chat is actually AI. Unfortunately, there won't be
Yeah.
any of that shown off. Not right now. It is
Not until we
still
get better animations.
it's still heavily in development, and of course, animations are the big thing with AI. The AI can look good, but the animations will kill it. So
Yeah.
we're trying to work on that.
So if we get better AI or better animations, then yes, we will show off AI much sooner. Otherwise, you guys might have to wait off a little bit on that. Yeah, no dating. I mean, if TS gets his way, I mean,
I mean,
but
Um,
no, we're don't
Will
worry about that.
will mod support / Steam Workshop support be a priority on release? You'll have to wait for the Kickstarter. There'll be information on that on the Kickstarter. So we're not going to talk about that right now.
Oh, here's a good concern. Pairing is cool, but my problem with it is that it makes the general deadly attacks less dangerous and takes away from the scare factor. Yeah, that is a big thing. So
That was my
not
point.
parrying. Yeah. So blocking isn't going to. You're still going to get hurt. It's just going to like null some of its effects. So I know for something like God, what game did it? I'll need to like look back. But when we add in blocking and you like block an incoming attack, you're still going to get damage. You're just not going to get
Forces it, yeah.
staggered, and you're not going to like take too much damage. So it's just to like null some of its effects, and it's only for instances of fighting like weaker SCPs. There will be some SCPs that are just gonna like come in and like take half of your health in one hit. So parrying will definitely help with that, but it's like you'd be better off running away than blocking those attacks because essentially 4 hits will take you out. And if you miss one of those blocks, then only 2 hits will take you out. So it's just one of those things to add another layer of combats. So if you want to like play a bit more into that and like stack your build a bit more towards that side of things, you can. But it's not something we recommend because yeah, it's still a horror game. Using one of the weapon items, we have animations like placeholder animations right now. So I mean, you could definitely pick up one of the machetes and stuff and swing it around. It's just not the most polished. It mostly comes down to hack self-esteem and like and being willing to show that off in such a rough shape it is right now. But it is there. I mean, you have to ask him.
Apologies, I wasn't listening. I was actually reading questions. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. You're good. It was just they're wanting to see if you can actually show off holding one of the weapons and using it. I just mentioned that the animations are a little rough, and it comes down to your self-esteem pretty much. Yeah.
The animations are definitely rough. I don't think anyone would really be too like. I don't think you guys would really like to see them. It's cool seeing the weapons in your hand, but the animations.
They'd love to see it. Yeah.
Yes.
What's hack self-esteem?
They're getting
hack
there.
self-esteem is so low. Hack is like the most like
I'm
self-esteem might as well be his
I'm
middle name.
realistic.
He's I'd say like schizophrenic when it comes to like his fears.
Also,
almost.
By the way, these models that you're seeing right now, these weapons are all made by the lovely James here. So he was the modeler for them.
Yep.
When we get the mocap suit, we'll show off your swinging animations. Don't worry, guys. We'll show it off.
Yeah, Surrender over here with his animations as Hack is belittling them. I see how it is.
Just better.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we'll get the mocap suit. We'll have everything nice and polished for when you guys actually end up playing it.
I'm definitely not the like weapon modeler kind of guy. I'm just the environment artist. But
I mean, I do
have some practice with
looking at these.
I mean, they look decent, but I mean,
do you see these axles? These are fantastic.
Axles.
So yeah, we are doing motion capture.
Yes,
we have a suit coming about next month, basically.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying like it should be fine to show off the rough animations now since
you
the motion capture suit. Yeah. Just pick up like the machete because it looks a little bit better. Or the axe actually. One of the axe looks better.
Not the two-handed weapon, that's for sure.
Hopefully, yeah, well, the axe does it.
Okay, bear in mind, every one of these weapons have a specific placement. Not all of them are set, so if this is like awkwardly in the hand, okay, good. I was confirmed about being like floating like up above the hand, like all rotated out of nowhere.
Yeah, no.
So, like we said, these are very rough. So, also, what was it? Will there be secondary attacks with weapons, like i.e. Melee swings with guns? It's an interesting idea. I would love to look into it. It'll just take a lot more thought to figure out, like, to balance that, figuring out what would be good secondary attack and stuff like that.
It's it requires a bit more thinking. If we have the animations and it's honestly not that, then it wouldn't be hard to implement. But I mean, it just comes down to like what we do at the time. The animations. I think it looks better with the axe because it's more built for that than the sword. Yeah, but we definitely need to work on the animations. Yeah, this is definitely built for the axe, not the machete.
See, that's what I was talking about. That's what I was concerned about.
Oh yeah, never mind. Well,
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness.
yeah, don't worry about it. We'll fix it. Well, Hack will fix that up once if it gets right. Oh, show off the mine. You never actually showed off using that.
Yeah, so we do have traps that you'll be able to place around. Don't mind the hologram. That's not actually supposed to be like that. But actually, I think I did make it like that. But in any case, you'll be able to place traps around the surfaces. This is actually a landmine. What do you mean? This is how you guys hold your axes. But yeah, like we actually have working landmines you can place around. And it actually does have basically a radius. And it won't explode unless it has direct line of sight, basically, to an enemy. So it won't like glitch and blow up while the enemy's behind a wall.
Also, yeah, the animations are pretty decent, but Zoretta literally made them in like each one only took him like a minute or two. Like
I'm learning
he's
first
fast.
person from scratch.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
he's not an animator guy, but that they are good. Like I say, they're good. It's just we are honestly just setting up like the very like bare minimum because we're just trying to like prototype stuff out right now. As you can see, like we have a bunch of like mechanics all over the place. So we're just trying to like test things out, make sure they work, if they're feasible, and then we're gonna go back in and like start cleaning all of them up.
Can you trip your own landmines? If you throw a grenade at it, you can. Right now you can't shoot it, but you will be able to in the future.
Yeah. We'll probably set up a way to you can like make them go off like on your own. Probably like have like a little switch or something, or make that be part of a separate type of trap. Some like a C4 or like that kind of stuff. That comes a little bit further down the line though, because right now our main focus is setting up like more interactable stuff. So I could probably go down the list a little bit that we'll probably show off during the next meeting, or the non-next meeting, next stream, just to give you guys a bit of a hint as like what's to come. So we're gonna set up like different models for the terminals, probably clean up the UI a little bit. Still don't have a UI guy, so it still won't be the best, but it's getting there. Doors, I already made several doors models that I'm gonna send over to Hack. So right now we have those that have like the cool like sliding effects. We'll have like double door like swinging kind of deal. Have like giant gates that can like close down and stuff like that, so on and so forth. We're also gonna have vent like covers, so we're gonna start showing off like the welding device. We're gonna have make a new model for the ladder, so we're gonna make that look a bit cleaner. I'm gonna set up target models. Right now, Hack already has some blockout set up, but they're literally just cubes. So I'm gonna set up some targets so you actually have something nicer and like prettier to look at and shoot at. Yeah, that's what they currently look like. But I'm gonna set up like actual like shooting targets and stuff like that.
Real quick, I'm gonna interject and answer something. So what happens if a mine explodes next to some grenades? What do you expect would happen if an explosive went off next to some other explosives? They do chain. They actually chain right now. But then there was two-handed weapons. Yep, the game will have two-handed weapons. Right now the animations for them aren't really in, so that's why I haven't showed it off. But the like axle here, this is a two-handed weapon. Like I said, animations just aren't in yet, so that's why I haven't equipped it. But well, actually, the idle animation is in, so the basic version of it. But yeah, there will be two-handed weapons.
Yeah. Another thing is if you look at the dummies or the targets right now, they have like an indicator on their heads, which yes, there will be like extra like damage points on certain SCPs. So some of them, if you hit them on the head, like yeah, they'll go down faster. Some of them will have other points that will be essentially their weak spots.
I forgot to turn off the audio. Please, for the love of God, the audio is unbelievably placeholder. We need a sound effects person. So don't mind that. But as you can see, body shots are doing 15 damage to the dummies right now, but the headshot is a one shot. Yes, McCree. You are McCree.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's high noon.
Recoil will be out, yes. There's a lot in terms of this that still needs to be worked on, but recoil will be added. Technically, bullet spread is already a thing.
Oh yeah, that's already, yeah.
So, the way that the system works right now is your first shot is always 100%. So as you can see, it's always dead on with your cursor. But as you continue to fire, your bullet spread kind of pans out and you become more inaccurate.
Yeah. The big thing is like we're gonna play enough players is like fear. So if they just start shooting erratically, we're gonna punish them for it.
Yep.
Which for a horror game is pretty fitting. We're gonna give you a gun. We're not gonna let you just get aim a perfect bullseye every single time. So you gotta like take a deep breath and like if you're gonna shoot your weapon, you better be calm. Otherwise, something's gonna like, take advantage of your weaknesses there.
Also, the base gun will not have this much ammo, and it's like in a mag.
Oh yeah.
25 was just
It's
for
only-
testing. It'll be lower.
Yeah, it's gonna be 6 for like the standard version, but there will be different magazine sizes and types. So you will be able to upgrade that as time goes on.
Alrighty, well, at this
Yes.
point, I think we have talked about just about everything we can. Went over everything that we're wanting to go over. We've answered a lot of questions. You guys hit us with some really, really, really good questions at this one. So
Oh,
I'm really
There's
glad
a
we
good
did
one
this.
just now.
Um,
Will FPS be capped at 60?
yeah, there will be an option in the graphics setting to cap FPS or not.
Yeah, that's probably going to be the best way going about it.
Mm-hmm.
Some players are running on like some older hardware, so capping it down to like 30 might also be useful. But it will be a toggleable thing. Additionally, just like if you want to like really go into potato mode, like we'll let you do that. If you still want to play the game in that way, go for it. But yeah, that pretty much goes over all the stuff we want to go to now. Keep an eye out for the next stream because we have a lot of stuff that's going to be added in the next few days. So whenever we do decide having the stream, it's going to be pretty different. Our main plans right now, though, is we are going to start working on devlogs, like proper ones, and they should be going out in a bit. We still need to find a good editor, someone who can like trust a lot. So once
If
we
you
find
guys
that
know
individual,
anybody,
yeah, if you
Send
know
them our
anyone, someone
way.
wants to apply, feel free.
Real quick,
But, yeah.
there's one more question. So this will be the last question I'm actually going to answer, but it is a really good one. Will there be an option to enable/disable Lumen? So Unreal 5 obviously is very, very new. It hasn't been out for too long, just like I think like what 2-3 months now. It hasn't been very long, but Lumen in and of itself is very, very early, and it actually is very performance heavy in our tests. So I do not believe that we will. Later on, if Lumen becomes like more performance friendly and some other things, there's some other things and some other reasons, but as of right now, I don't think so. But we may in the future.
For those who don't really know too much about Lumen, but know something about game design or game development, if you're to put everything on a scale, it'd basically be like at the very bottom of like the most efficient would be backlighting. After that would be dynamic, and then after that would be Lumen, and then like ray tracing. So Lumen is definitely better than ray tracing in some regards, but it's definitely way more intensive than something like backlighting. Not by a ton, but still a good bit. So unless you're running on like some really, really intense hardware, like we're not gonna have Lumen activated. We'll probably like make it an option if it gets ironed out, like Hack said. But that's once again one of those things for later. Right now, we're developing the game to be as optimized as possible for lower end hardware because performance is definitely our big focus. So yeah, we'll kind of like go start from the bottom and work our way up for something like Lumen and like ray tracing and whatnot. Will that be in the final game? It's hard to say right now because it's not really our focus, but we'll work our way to there when like further in development.
Alrighty, well, TS, would you like to end us off here?
Yes, so I'm gonna post the Kickstarter link again. I expect you all to follow it. If you don't, game's canceled, and I'm sorry. Just sucks to be you guys. No, it's really helpful though. You guys doing that. Also, leave your I don't know if it'll let you do it on this. When this uploads though, if you guys end up seeing it, leave any questions you have on there, or just send me them directly. I think you can figure out my Discord is this. If you want to send there, or you can just put them on the link that should follow with this stream.
Yep.
But I will close this out by saying thank you all for watching. I really hope you enjoyed what we started doing here. Tomorrow I'm releasing the 5th devlog video thing. That should be pretty fun. We're going to go over a couple different things in that. What my name stands for, you never get to know. No one gets to know. But that's not important. What is important though is that you watch the thing tomorrow. It's gonna go over a couple different cool things that I think you guys will all enjoy. We'll start doing devlogs and all that cool stuff on this YouTube here. So if you haven't subscribed, do so. Highly recommend it because we're gonna start showing off more gameplay and you'll see it develop and everything, and it'll be really cool. So with that, thank you all for watching, and we will see you whenever we do the next video. And I will see you guys tomorrow and the video we're posting tomorrow.
All right.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Or day.
Good night. I barely said
Yeah.
anything, but good night.